800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you are watching the show live on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. We want to get those likes as high as possible so that way it gets pushed out into the ether in front of as large of an audience as possible. So thank you to those who have already clicked like. And if you're watching us and you haven't clicked like yet, please do so. It will help us out a lot.
We're getting all kinds of suggestions, including from Decent Trick. Can you create a GIF that has Katie Porter pouring Cher on John's head and one with the fake doctor putting subscribe in Randy's mouth?
Oh, my.
I guess I got some homework to do over the weekend.
I don't want to see the fake doctor putting anything in your mouth.
No, and I don't want to see her toileting either.
Wash your hands often and always before eating and after toileting.
All right. Right now, we have an update for you on something that is very near and dear to the heart of just about every individual who works in radio. And by that, I'm, of course, talking about fast food.
Gavin Newsom's Fast Food Council, the buildup of people that were appointed from different unions that were supposed to negotiate raises, including the $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers. Well, apparently they haven't met in 2 years.
Haven't met in 2 years?
And part of the reason is Gavin Newsom is supposed to appoint the people on this board, and he's been too busy campaigning in Nevada.
Wow. Well, I guess he's not prepared to promote Mayor McCheese.
For more on the California Fast Food Council, here's a report from our friend Ashley Zavala and KCRA3 on her weekend politics show, California Politics 360, that airs on KCRA3, KTVU, Fox 2 in the Bay, and Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
The future of California's first-in-the-nation fast food council is in limbo. The council is made up of fast food workers, union leaders, and fast food franchisees. The group is supposed to bargain wages and working conditions for the state's nearly 500,000 fast food workers. But this council has not...
I understand why they didn't meet.
Why is that?
So this council is supposed to be made up of fast food workers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you can't have a room full of people where no one washes their hands after they go to the bathroom and expect anyone to show up.
Wash your hands often and always before eating and after toileting.
Met in 2 years, and it's been missing a leader for more than a year. We're asking, is this effort over?
We really do need this clarification.
This was Gabby Campbell 2 years ago at one of the California Fast Food Council's last full meetings back in 2024.
Hadn't spoken with anyone from the council. Nobody's reached out.
2 years later, the Handles franchisee is still waiting to hear if California's fast food minimum wage law applies to her ice cream stand.
I remember this story from 2 years ago. I am not surprised at all that she still doesn't have an answer 2 years later.
Well, and if they don't have a hearing, there's no one for her to yell at.
Handles, they actually opened one of these in Encino on, I think, Friday.
It's just day by day. We operate our business to the best of our ability, treat the employees with, kindness and, grace. Lots of young first-timers that we have.
I bet you if you work there, you've had every single one of those flavors multiple times.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't advertise how young your workforce is unless you want those Lincoln Project guys coming over, lady.
When I was 17, one of the many jobs I had working at Magic Mountain was the manager of all the kids that worked at the ice cream stand in the front of the shop. And I would open the place up. I'd be completely by myself, and I would be in the freezer by myself shoving cheesecakes into my mouth every single day. I gained so much weight during working that job.
I just wish that it was a little easier for us as the franchisees, as the owners, to know that we were covered and not part of this fast food craziness.
The Fast Food Council was part of.
Yeah, does an ice cream shack count as fast food?
Well, remember, didn't he do a carve out for his buddy who owned Panera?
Yes, he did. And there was all kinds of confusion as to, does it count as fast food if it's a place that bakes its own bread, as to why is that a significant change? Because Subway bakes their own bread. It's just made of yoga mats.
A first-in-the-nation law state lawmakers and the governor passed in 2023 that set the minimum wage to $20 an hour for the workers of large fast food corporations.
In-N-Out still pays better.
Well, and then the other fast food joints have just replaced all of their workers with AI. If you try to make your breakfast order at McDonald's from an actual human being, good luck finding one. You have to do it from the kiosk.
Well, and they've figured out ways to make it so you don't need as many employees taking the order when they incentivize everyone to use those apps. And those apps are very addictive because that's how you get all the deals. There's a reason I don't have any of them on my phone. That would be very dangerous. If I got a push alert for dollar fries, I might have to go hit the drive-thru.
The council was meant to bargain the wages and working conditions for fast food.
Who made that logo? Why are the fries coming out of the guy's hands?
It doesn't even look like hands. It looks like someone's doing the splits and the burger. Well,
this is why we had to add the video element to see things like this. Also, at least as far as I'm aware, and I've definitely been a big consumer of fast food for many years, but why is there a beer behind the burger? You can't get beer.
yeah. Who serves beer from a drive-through window?
Food workers. But that's been anything but fast. 3 years later, the council has yet to make any decisions. It's also been without a leader.
Well, you know, we said it before, and we'll say it again. You know who was the soothsayer on all of this?
The bureaucracy is real.
Shang was always right.
Our girl was clairvoyant.
For more than a year. The council's ex-chairman, Nick Hardiman, acknowledged in 2024 the council has been deeply divided.
This is another thing that is so emblematic of everything that Gavin Newsom has done in 8 years. Big, bold proclamation. This is going to be a game changer. And then completely abandons it, and there's no follow-through, and there's no details.
That is Gavin Newsom in a nutshell.
We got a comment here from Danny. I'm still laughing that there is a fast food council. That's one of the things that Gavin Newsom is really good at, creating all kinds of councils and boards and commissions. Remember when Gavin Newsom had the special session to find out why the oil companies were ripping us off, and he created a brand new bureaucracy to investigate why the oil companies were ripping us off, and then they did an investigation for a year and found that turns out it's not the oil companies that were ripping us off. It was the gas tax and cap and trade.
Oh, yeah. And then Gavin moved on to the next one.
Yep.
A spokesperson for the Department of Industrial Relations told us the council
There's yet another bureaucracy I've never heard of.
will not meet until it has a new chair.
Is it going defunct?
Interesting. I've not gotten a fast food council question in some time. Not going.
Well, that's because Ashley pays attention to everything that you do, even though Gavin doesn't pay attention to any of this stuff.
And don't act like it's a dumb and trivial question. You're the jerk that came up with the idea in the first place.
Defunct by definition.
I asked Governor Gavin Newsom about this. He's responsible for appointing the council's next leader.
This group, this whole full council hasn't met in 2 years. So that's why, do you intend to appoint someone before you leave?
It sounds like we'll need to make that appointment. And so that appointment will be made. And the question is it a matter of weeks or a month? But as I said,
I love that he has so much on his desk. He's so busy. He has hundreds of appointments he needs to fill before the end of his term. But he's got plenty of time to go out to Nevada to campaign in a room full of 12 people for the next mayor.
Has he even visited Boyle Heights yet since that environmental disaster began?
He has not. And that is one of the things that the people that packed that room were screaming about is Gavin doesn't give a damn about Boyle Heights.
that you can't do everything, you can't do anything.
Well, maybe you could make some more appointments if you weren't hosting a weekly podcast.
No, it's not just one podcast. Doesn't he have two?
I don't know if he's actually on the one with Marshawn Lynch anymore. They don't put out that many episodes, and it seems like it's one of those things where they say Gavin's still a part of the show, but I don't think that Gavin's a part of the show.
It was like those final years that Barbara Walters was alive on The View. She'd just show up every now and then.
Sam writes in on the YouTube stream, isn't the Fast Food Council just Ronald McDonald, the Burger King, Wendy, and the Taco Bell Chihuahua?
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why they didn't meet, because of all those No Kings protests.
And we have 4,000, I think, appointments that I make. So there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, quite literally, I can assure you if you saw my desk.
I love him making excuses why he cannot do the basest functions of his job.
Oh, yeah, because he's got more important things to do, like bitch on Twitter.
That have been vetted, and they're just waiting for my final decision, and I'm hopeful that
this makes it look worse. So you're telling me there's a whole bunch of appointments that have already gone through the process. They're just awaiting their signature. They're on your desk, but you're too busy campaigning in Nevada and hosting a podcast.
He is such a liar, too. None of this is true. Because if someone already made the decision, then all they need is a stamp with his signature on it, and boom, you're off to the races.
in there as well.
While franchisees like Campbell want clarity on the law, fast food workers have been wanting hearings on worker abuses and another pay raise. Representatives with SEI.
Wait, they want more?
Oh, they want more, Randy.
Well, that's the funniest thing about all of these minimum wage debates is it's never enough. Like even the $30 an hour minimum wage for tourism workers that the LA City Council backed away from after they passed it and all the hotels said they're going to move out of the city, that's still not enough to live on in this city.
Nope.
The labor group that pushed for this law, were not available for an interview for the story.
Either way, there's no decision made for us, against us. There's no decision made whether or not minimum wage can be raised again. I think everybody's at a standstill on this one.
She's been waiting for 2 years on clarity if that fast food minimum wage law applies to her. And the state has ignored her for 2 years.
Here's the thing, though. You could make $200,000 a year and still not be able to afford to buy a house in San Francisco or Los Angeles because you still need the down payment. You still need to be able to take care of all your other expenses. So telling these people that if you put this commission together and you keep giving them raises, and at some point they're going to be able to afford to buy a house in the community that they live in, it's just not true. That's never going to happen. You can bankrupt the restaurants in the process, or you can force them to automate just about everything and eliminate the jobs. But the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is not that the people who run the drive-thru at McDonald's are going to be able to afford to buy a home in any of these places, because they're just not.
Last year's state budget included $1.1 million for the council to hire 4 staff members. The Department of Industrial...
It's a job creator.
It is. I wonder if they get to work from home.
Wait a second. We can do some simple math here, even though we're California graduates. We're spending $250,000 per person to be on the staff of the Fast Food Council? And they don't even meet? So what do you get paid to do?
I don't know.
Relations confirmed all 4 of those positions have been filled. The department said the staff is working and preparing for upcoming meetings, but the department would not provide any more information beyond that.
Boy, there is the job you want to have. You work for a council that hasn't met in 2 years, and you're getting paid $250,000 to do it.
And all you do is you have to hit every drive-thru in town and stuff your pie hole and claim that it's research.
I was doing that for free for like 20 years.
We also reached out to the Speaker of the State Assembly, Robert Rivas, and State Senate Pro Tem Monique Limon. Neither would comment for the story.
Of course not. They don't want to comment on anything that makes them look bad or look like they're not paying attention to all the things that they do in the state of California.
So on brand. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 1-800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Randy, how are we doing on the likes on the YouTube feed?
Let's check it. If you can hit the like button when you're watching us at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio, it makes a big difference. We're up to 80. Thank you all so much. And we're up to 674 subscribers on the Accountability Podcast. And on our main channel, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio, we're at 2,240. If you want to find those real easily, just
do a Google on YouTube
and search John Phillips, Randy Wang, and they both come up pretty easily.
And for a while, we had 666 subscribers to the podcast, which ironically enough is the same number that Barbara Ferrer has tattooed on her neck.
Next slide.
Now, Randy, you have yet another fast food update for us here in the state of California.
Culver City, the city where I am broadcasting from right now, wants to ban drive-thrus. For more on this, we go to CBS LA.
Well, California is the birthplace of modern drive-through dining, but tonight, Culver City is looking to limit that. CBS LA's Lauren Posen shows us why residents and the city are working to stop a new In-N-Out drive-through.
Okay, this is going to go down in flames, Culver City.
That In-N-Out in Culver City is one of the most popular ones in all of Southern California.
They're showing an image of it right there, and I know because I have been in that line for a very, very, very long time. In fact, when I used to work mornings here and I would get off at 10 o'clock, that was the perfect time to get in there because you'd be like the first or the second person who would get in there. And in fact, I had a deal with our buddy Dino, who used to be a screener here. Every single time that I was number 0001 on the receipt, I would send it to him. And then he would send me a big heart emoji. It is a true story.
Right now, this looks just like another empty lot. But this spot on the corner of busy Sepulveda Boulevard and Sawtelle Boulevard is where In-N-Out wants to build. Only problem? Culver City and some of its residents are pushing the pause button on this double-double.
Another drive-through. People don't need another drive-through.
It's In-N-Out, though. I mean, it is true that no matter how many In-N-Outs you build, they will always all be busy. But still, people like their In-N-Out burger.
You know what you have to do? You have to look at who's making these decisions, and you have to speak to them in their own language. So here's how I would craft the argument in favor of these fast food restaurants. Are you ready?
Yes.
If you do not allow drive-through windows at fast food restaurants, that's going to be real bad for business for the carjackers because there's going to be no one for them to rob at gunpoint. And we have to make sure to take care of those people because in California, we always bend over backwards for the criminals.
President Vanessa Martin helped rally her neighbors take action and why it had to be stopped.
The idle emissions from idling cars for the environment.
Oh, stop it. How about the idle emissions from the 405? Let's worry about that before we worry about the people that are backing up on Venice Boulevard to go to that In-N-Out.
How many cars are on the 405 freeway every single day? And how many cars are in In-N-Out burger drive-thrus?
Exactly.
Mental impact that drive-thrus have, as well as safety concerns. We have a school right down the block.
Another concern is the impact on traffic.
That is that In-N-Out.
Oh, yes.
Right across the street from the station.
We're just a couple miles away from that proposed site, and look at this line behind me here. These cars just wrap all the way around this shopping center, going straight down the road here and inching into that neighborhood.
It's exactly why City Council voted last month to pass a 45-day moratorium.
That motion passes 4 ayes.
Wait, there's a member of the Culver City Council whose name is Bubba Fish?
Oh, my. Imagine how that looks on a ballot.
So there you go. Culver City is going to war with In-N-Out Burger, and I don't think Culver City is going to win this one.
Nope. Culver City, you are going to lose. You might as well wave the white flag sooner rather than later. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is an author, a political commentator, the host of The Heidi Harris Show, and the overall Las Vegas radio goddess. You can get her online at HeidiHarris.com and follow her on X at Heidiology. Heidi Harris, welcome.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for stopping by on this Monday.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to mention when I was a kid, we got dropped off at Knott's Berry Farm. I swear we spent almost an entire summer there because my mom was getting divorced. So while she was with husband number 2, my brother and I would just get dumped off at Knott's Berry Farm. We thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Well, you weren't starting TikTok, Fikes. You were just going to the Slanty house.
We did not do any of that. And we were like 9 and 11, and we were left there. My mom was a good parent. I mean, people did that back then, and nobody acted crazy. Nobody was in danger, and it was normal. It was a kinder, gentler world back then.
Are you sick of boysenberry pie?
You know, I don't like pies that are made out of fruit. So, you know, I'm the wrong person to ask about that. But I liked their fried chicken. The fried chicken was really good back then.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't like that? Besides the vegans.
Yeah, well, they don't like anything. That's why they're vegans.
So we've spent a lot of time talking with you about all of these stories, the business papers in particular, the business channels, love to say that Las Vegas is in decline, that no one's going there anymore, that people are not gambling like they used to, that there are other gaming cities that have people's attention. There are state lotteries, there's online, there's this, there's that. And then this weekend, I'm out at dinner with friends at 3 o'clock, and I don't even know why they wanted to go to dinner at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. And then we're sitting there having dinner, and they're looking at me like, okay, you're eating really slow. And I thought, what are you, in some sort of race? Do you have a plane to catch? And everyone goes, oh, no, we need to get to the bar so we can watch the big fight tonight because all eyes are on Las Vegas, Nevada, the big MMA fight, the Conor McGregor fight. And so we all have to split early because they're all going to watch the fight. And I watched the news all weekend, and oh, my God, Las Vegas was the epicenter of the globe. It's like back in the old days when boxing was big and they'd get the big Mike Tyson fight and all eyes would be on Las Vegas. And when I would look at these images of all the cars on the strip and all the people in the casinos and all the people betting on the fight, is Las Vegas coming back the way that it looked like on television over the weekend?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, first of all, you know, that did remind me of the Tyson fight because if you go and get an extra beer, you've missed it. And now you spent all your money. I mean, I looked at the ticket prices. Have you ever been to a UFC fight?
No.
MMA fight? Okay,
No.
First of all, let me just say it. I'm not putting down the sport in any way if that's your thing. Okay, I watched some of it. You can't see anything when you're there. The only way you can see it is by watching it on TV because if you're there, all you see is the poles and the chain link.
Well, and you're right. If you look down at your phone for a second to check your email, the fight's over.
That's it. That's over it. But I will give his opponent credit. At least he stopped and said, pointing to the referee, said, "Hey, can you see his legs screwed up here? I don't want to keep pounding on this guy. It's not a fair fight." I thought that was classy of him, really, because he could have just kept pounding him and grounding him and everything else, and he just said, "Wait a minute, he clearly is not all there. Everything's not working, all of his parts." So I thought that was great. But yeah, quick fight, over and out. 15 million, I guess, was the base, right, that he got, plus who knows how much extra for the pay-per-view. And that's not bad work for one round. I'd go one round for that kind of money.
Well, for fights like that, I think it's almost like Christmas, where for Christmas, okay, the day where you get to see your family, the day where you get to have the turkey and you get to do all the things, that's great and wonderful. But what really makes Christmas Christmas is the buildup. It's the music, it's the lights, it's the decorations. And it almost doesn't even matter if the fight is something that people remember forever. It's the buildup because people flew in from all over the globe to pay a lot of money to go see this thing. All the restaurants were full, all the hotels were full. Las Vegas won regardless.
Well, it depends on how much they gamble. Obviously, you're going to spend the money on the tickets at T-Mobile. That's obviously part of it. But how much do they gamble? You know, you've been to Vegas many, many times, many, many years ago when we weren't even supposed to under age 21. When I was a kid, my dad was a showroom musician. And we all knew what happened. The shows had to end at a certain time because the point of the show was to get you to the casino and get you out onto the casino floor at a certain time, right? That was the whole point. If they're spending all their money on tickets to these ridiculously overpriced events, in my opinion, I mean, I realize the market will decide, but the prices are crazy for locals or any normal person to go. It's like a house payment for a lot of people. And if they're not going straight to the casino afterwards, those are the numbers you have to look at.
Yeah, I guess when you get to that price point, you might be attracting a different crowd. Instead of the crowd that wants to
Right.
go and gamble, you're attracting the crowd that has gobs of money and they just want to be seen at an event that they know is elite.
Right. What's interesting, I think, is some numbers came out from Placer.ai. The median household income was 93 for visitors, okay, $93,000 from January to May 2019, a little bit higher in 2026, but the Strip's median household income declined on many major event days. Now that's interesting to me because what are you bringing in? The cooler crowd? You may spend all your money on tickets, but you're not necessarily going to spend it. Now, F1's one thing, you got the fancy people and all that. But a lot of these other events don't necessarily bring in a lot of people who are going to then spend all the money on everything else. That's the problem. We don't know.
Well, and you also know that for big events, let's just say New Year's, you know that they're going to raise the cost of what they charge for a drink. You know they're going to raise the cost of what they charge for a room. You know they're going to raise the cost for fill in the blank. And if you're just going because you like to play blackjack, you might just avoid it those weekends.
Exactly. That's, I think, part of what happens with some of these big events. People say, the heck with it. If I'm not into MMA, I'll watch it on pay-per-view if I am or something and not bother with all the crowds. I'll go at a time when it's a little off season.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I imagine there's a lot of truth to that.
But I will tell you a funny story. I was at Walmart the other day, got to chit chat with a couple of guys who were buying some coolers and this and that. I don't know. Line was long. I'm chatting with, they're buying a couple of coolers. And guess what? They were in Vegas for some bowling event. What were they buying? They were buying coolers and beer and ice. And I said, we call you guys the cooler crowd, right? And I said, we say it lovingly. And they said, oh yeah, we know that. I'm talking the styrofoam, polyester,
Oh, yeah.
those cheapy ones. I'm thinking, how are you going to bring that through the casino? Anyway, but yeah, we love those people. But these guys were going to Walmart ahead of time because they didn't want to spend all of the prices that the hotels charge for all this nonsense. And I thought that was smart of them.
Have you ever been to Laughlin, Nevada?
I have actually worked. When I was a singer, I was down there at a place called Losers Lounge, appropriately named, many times. Yes.
When you check into a hotel in Laughlin, Nevada, they don't come in with one ice chest. They come in with 45 ice chests. I thought that someone had a liver transplant going on, an operation room in one of the suites because there were so many ice chests. And then they also have these pizza boxes that they bring to the room with them that are the biggest pizza boxes I've ever seen before in my entire life. It looked like you could fit a flat screen TV in this thing. And you see him take these pizza boxes into the elevator, and it's like, playing, I don't know, a game of Jenga, trying to figure out how to fit it in there without all the toppings ending up on the floor because the elevator's not big enough for the pizza box.
Laughlin, the branch office of hell this time of year.
We're speaking with Heidi Harris, who is radio legend in Las Vegas, Nevada. I could see in the chat you have a bunch of fans who are tuning in as well.
Nice.
So over the weekend, on Sunday morning, I believe it was, we were notified that South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham had passed away. Now, I know this is going to sound odd. Lindsey Graham was 71 years of age. And you go, okay, for guys, if you're a big guy, that's kind of when they die. They're maybe on the low end, but, for a man to die of a heart attack in his 70s, it's not like, man bites dog. But by United States Senate standards and United States Congress standards, that guy is a whippersnapper. So to hear that a 71-year-old rolled a 7, I think a lot of people could not believe what they were reading in the newspaper.
Yeah, it was sad. I remember getting up at by 4 o'clock in the morning and saw the news. It broke my heart. I mean, I know let me just say this about Lindsey Graham. A lot of good things to say about Lindsey Graham. I will never forget his defense of Brett Kavanaugh. That was the most amazing thing I have ever seen. And that's when he really, there's a lot of things that his career you can talk about. People didn't like him going against Trump, blah, blah, blah. But when he stood up for Brett Kavanaugh, when Brett Kavanaugh was being destroyed, that couple of minutes in the hearing that he spoke about Brett Kavanaugh was unbelievable. His full-throated defense of him was amazing and so gutsy at a time when it wasn't the popular take, the stand to take. And I had a lot of respect for him. He was a great guy in a lot of ways, and just weird. What a weird thing was, here you are talking to President Trump on Saturday night, right? According to President Trump, he was talking to him on the phone, And then he talked to one of his, I guess someone who was with him, aide or somebody, and said, I don't feel real well. And the aide said, well, you need to go to the hospital right away. He said, nah, he goes, I can't die yet. I've got to do a Face the Nation or which one of those shows tomorrow morning. I've got this, I've got that. I got things to do. We all have things to do. And I don't know that it would have helped him at all to pass like he did. It sounds like an aortic dissection. I don't know. I've heard of those before. Isn't that what killed Alan? Oh, I'm spacing it now. Who's playing hockey? Isn't that what he died of? Remember he was playing hockey with his son? Oh, I'm totally spacing it. You know everybody in Hollywood. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was so sad that it's such a sudden thing. And I guess for him it was good because it was sudden and it wasn't a long, drawn out, miserable thing. But for everybody else, it was a shock.
Yeah, and it also hits a little close to home too, because how often are you in a situation where you don't feel good? You know something's wrong.
Right.
But it is a Saturday, or it's a holiday, or it's 5:01 p.m., and you go, okay, I don't want to go to the ER, and I don't want to sit there for 8 hours, and I don't want to have to be around a bunch of people who are coughing and sneezing and hacking and probably shouldn't even be there in the first place, and I'm going to see all these disgusting things, and I'm just going to wait until my doctor is in the office on Monday morning at 9, and then I'll try to sweet talk my way into an appointment over there. And more often than not, we get away with that. But there are times when it really is an emergency and you really do need to go. And you go, okay, well, who am I in the grand scheme of things? This was a United States senator where, in theory, they can move heaven and earth if they want to go to the hospital, if they want to seek medical attention or have a doctor look at them on a holiday or late at night or on a weekend or whatever. But he felt the same way that many of us do when we just say, nah, we're going to kick the can down the road and wait. And it may have cost him.
Well, and we don't know how he felt either. I have a friend whose husband is late 60s, and he just collapsed one day while walking the dogs. And then he got up and, kept going. And then later on, she said, oh, had some pain in his jaw. I said, that is cardiac. I'm not a doctor, but that's cardiac. When you have pain in your jaw and he collapsed on the ground for no reason. And I told her, I said, you take him to the ER now. Don't go to quick care. Don't pay for an ambulance ride. Go straight to the hospital. And I sent her with a 10-foot cord for her phone to charge it, some water bottles, snacks. I'm going to be there a while. Turned out he had a valve problem that would have killed him. But sometimes they don't manifest the way you'd expect them to, and we don't know how Lindsey Graham felt. Maybe he thought he had some nausea, maybe it was heartburn. We don't know what it feels like. I have no idea what it feels like when you have an aortic dissection. So who knows? And and maybe men are just saying. And he just came back, by the way, from a huge trip overseas, as you know. That's exhausting in itself. You may be jet lagged and whatnot, and you could chalk it up to those kinds of things easily.
So it looks like you're getting a lot of reaction in the chat where listener Nancy says it was John Ritter who died from an aortic dissection. Is that who you were referring to?
Who's saying blurred lines? Help me out here.
Robin Thicke, so you're thinking of Alan Thicke.
That's who I'm thinking of. Thank you. Remember that? He was playing hockey with his son at the time. Isn't that what he died of? Alan Thicke?
I think that's definitely possible. That's what listener Sean writes.
Okay, that's who I was thinking of. And was it John Ritter too? Might have been.
It might have also been John Ritter. I mean, this thing does happen.
It wasn't Mr. Furley.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. You don't know, and we all do our best to try to take care of ourselves and be on top of these things, and you just don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody has their affairs in order like they should, do they? I don't.
And I'll say this also about Lindsey Graham. I know that there is a lot of heat from the right that was directed at him because he had a good working relationship with a lot of people on the other side of the aisle, and then on our side, people like John McCain, who didn't always play nice with his own team. But in a body like the Senate, if you are in charge of the Judiciary Committee and your job is to get your people on the Supreme Court or your people on the bench or whatever, your job is a lot easier if you can have honest conversations with people whose votes can be difficult to get. And for a long time, it was him and Dianne Feinstein who ran that committee, and he really courted her. And he really did a good job of charming her and of making her feel comfortable to work with him. And it wasn't even just Kavanaugh that he helped get through. It was Amy Coney Barrett and a bunch of other people on lower courts whose names we might not even know, but wouldn't be on the bench without his ability to call for a vote, to get the votes, to push it through. In fact, on the other side of the aisle, Dianne Feinstein had such a good working relationship with him, they dumped her as the Democratic voice on that committee. They chalked it up to her advanced age, which I'm sure played a part in it, but they didn't like the fact that she had such a good relationship with him.
Right. Well, you can't get much done in the Senate or any legislative body if you don't get along with people. I'm not saying you should give up your principles, but you have to at least talk to people. And we know because of what we do, and then you talk to people on a one-on-one basis, we all want the same things. We want to be safe in America. We want our children educated well. We want this, we want that. But where we diverge is how to achieve those goals. Some people think government's the way to achieve those. Other people think it's more about freedom and this and that. But if you can't even have a conversation and start with, okay, we agree on, let's start at the root of the tree. We agree on this. And let's try to get somewhere else. If you're not going to talk to anybody ever, and you're going to walk in every room, elbows out, how are you going to accomplish anything for your constituents? You can't.
So you're in Nevada right now, and so is the governor of California,
Please
Gavin
take him
Newsom,
back. Please
who
take
is
him. Take him.
campaigning
I'll
on
drop off
behalf.
in Barstow. I'm willing to work with you, babe. I'm willing to work with you. Really. Go ahead. Sorry.
How much appeal does he have to Nevada voters?
Zero. Nobody can stand this guy with the hair. And by the way, I thought it was kind of funny when I saw that room he was in. I swear I had more people in my house last week than they were in that room. What a joke that was. And trying to get this guy Aaron Ford, our current attorney general, who's never in the state, try to get him elected governor, which I don't think is going to happen. What a joke that room was. I mean, that's all you can get. This is all the people who are going to come out to see you. And then he puts on the historic West Side, for those who don't know Vegas. The historic West Side of Vegas was where the black people had to live at one point. That's why they call the historic West Side of Vegas. So then what's Gavin Newsom do? Put on a shirt that says historic West Side during this. I mean, what do you know? Do you get black points for that? I mean,
sounds like Gavin.
Fooling with the hair and he creeps me out. He reminds me of one of those pastors with the big grin and the skinny jeans. They just creep me out. There's something about him.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Heidi, if people want to subscribe to your podcast, to your show, how can they subscribe? And we'll put the link in there, too.
They can find it anywhere. The new one is called Vegas Crime Files, all firsthand accounts of really cool Vegas crimes. Our next one's coming out about Henry Ruggs, who killed that girl going 127 miles an hour down. Remember the Raider player?
Oh, yeah.
All firsthand accounts. Talk to the fatal detective. You're going to want to hear this. Vegas Crime Files, wherever you get podcasts. And you can follow me on social at Heidi Harris Show.
Vegas Crime Files. Go
That's
subscribe to it right now with Heidi Harris. We'll put a link in the chat so people can just click on the link and subscribe right there.
Thank you. Always great to see you guys.
Likewise. Love seeing you. Heidi Harris, everyone. Here with an update on the sale of the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, Mr. Randy Wang.
And when we're doing a segment about the Coliseum, we're going to need an assist from my girl, Shangy.
And we still got our Oakland A's, baby.
No, you don't. The Oakland City Council has voted to approve the sale of the Oakland Coliseum. And tell me if you've ever heard this before. They swear the company buying the Coliseum has the money, but in case they don't, the city's still on the hook for it.
If the FBI isn't looking into this deal, they're nuts.
Don't waste our time. We have a whole city to run.
Remember when Shangy decided to hang the entire budget on the hopes that this deal would close in 2024?
Selling a stadium to a group with no money and then basing your entire budget on that, what could go wrong?
I could get that.
Oh, boy. I can't wait till the Shangy trial happens in October, and we'll be live on video and might need even do a live remote in Oakland.
We might have to.
For more on that, what's the subscriber stretch goal for that one, Johnny?
We'll have to wait and see.
For more on this, here is KPIX in the Bay.
It's a deal that's been years in the making, but earlier today, with a vote by Oakland City Council, the city finally sold their 50% portion of the Coliseum. With it, a new direction for the site.
Real estate practice, but while this
A landmark decision years in the making. The Oakland City Council voting Monday to sell the city's half ownership stake in the Coliseum complex. A deal supporters say could finally bring new life to the 112-acre site. The city selling its 50% ownership stake to the Oakland Acquisition Company for $110 million up front, plus 6% of future ticket sales.
Wait, that's a different company.
Yeah, that's not the company that Shang sold it to.
So I guess what we found out is that AASEG and Ray Bobbitt really never did have the money.
Big surprise there.
The bureaucracy is real.
And an additional $15 million tied to development permits. Oakland City Council member Janani Ramachandran, who chairs the Finance Committee, says the deal is about investing in the future of the Coliseum while also easing the city's financial burden.
I mean, what are they going to put there? They have no teams. They literally just lost the soccer team. The Roots are going somewhere else. The Valkyries don't play there. The Raiders don't play there. The A's don't play there. What are they going to put there?
Maybe they're going to try to court that guy at Venice Beach on the roller skates with the accordion.
How many times a year can you do the monster truck rally?
Now, the city of Oakland spends about $16.4 thousand a day to keep the Coliseum open. That's over $6 million a year. And that's money, if this deal is signed and we transfer ownership.
You guys got to fix that microphone.
Yeah, what's wrong with that mic?
Oakland broke. Oakland Brokeland.
That can continue to flow back to the city of Oakland that we can use.
The agreement ends years of uncertainty after delays, lawsuits, and questions about the future of the property. The vision for the property includes a reimagined entertainment destination. Irving Azoff, music industry legend and co-founder of the Oakview Group, the company partnering on the project, shared his confidence in the future of the Coliseum.
Ray Bobbitt is nowhere near this deal. Not surprised.
You know, this is not a rescue mission in itself. It's just an opportunity to take now what I consider to be a B experience and make it an A.
Okay, the first payment you get from this guy, you've got to replace that podium mic.
Experience.
But not everyone is convinced. Oakland City Council member Noel Gallo, the only no vote, questioned whether this...
That was the first time I've ever seen him not in some kind of costume.
Yeah, usually he's wearing an orange vest or something with a hard hat on.
City fully understands the value of the land it's selling, and he also questioned whether the city and the county should have worked together on exploring other options.
What is the best use for that land that we can invest together?
Well, and John, you can attest to this. You can do whatever you want with developing that land, but if you don't clean up the piles of garbage that are around it, no one's going to go there. Can you explain what it's like when you get off at the BART station to go to the Oakland Coliseum?
So the last time I was there was what, July 4th?
Of 2024, yeah.
Okay. And I was there to watch the Angels play. And so I was staying in San Francisco, and I took the BART in from Union Square, and you go under the bay, and you go into Oakland. And the first thing you see when you come out is you see a bunch of burned out RVs left everywhere. I don't think there's any places to park in that part of Oakland because burned out RVs are taking all of the spaces on the streets. There's graffiti everywhere, including on single-family homes. And you just drive by street after street after street that have some version of what I just described. Then you get to the station at the Coliseum, and you get off the train, and you have to get in this catwalk that has, I don't know, like a chain link fence wrapped around it. And you walk on this catwalk above, I don't know how many stories high it is, but it's way up in the air. and you walk over this homeless encampment with yet more RVs and active fires going on underneath you as you walk to the stadium. Then you get out of the catwalk and you're at the stadium and you have your good time at the game. I got to watch the Angels lose. And then to get back on the train, you have to walk over all the chaos yet again.
You know what you just reminded me of when you talked about burned out RVs? That Sheng Tao press conference where we really got to know her. It was her first State of the City address. It's where this drop came from.
You may be frightened, and I know how you feel.
And this drop.
The bureaucracy is real.
Do you remember she touted as her one accomplishment as mayor is that if there's a burned out car on the side of the road, we will tow it away real fast.
Quite an accomplishment.
Oh, I miss her every single day.
How are you? Good.
Love to shake your hand.
Yes, it's been amazing.
And right now, you know, what is the land? What's the appraisal on the land? They can't tell me. Didn't you do an appraisal on what it could go and didn't go?
Well, it's not what the land is worth. It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
And theoretically, someone who has the money to pay for it.
That was the problem 2 years ago.
They haven't done that.
But Oakland City Council member Ken Houston, whose district includes the Coliseum.
If we ever interview Ken Houston, it's probably going to have to be on the podcast because he likes to pop off.
Oh, does he now?
Yes.
Says the city had to balance getting the best deal possible with getting a deal done.
We worked together to get the best deal we could do without breaking it.
You guys got to get a new microphone. I got an old Shure SM58. I will donate it to the city of Oakland, please.
Because sometimes you can break a deal, right?
With overwhelming support from council, the ordinance authorizing the sale of the city's ownership stake passed with a 6-1 vote. The sale now clears a major hurdle as Oakland looks to turn a long struggling property into a new economic engine.
Such a weird place it is. It was a football stadium and a baseball diamond, and now it just looks like an empty soccer field.
Now, under this agreement, if this new ownership is not able to keep up with its financial obligations, there is a path in which the city would have to retake their 50% ownership. But based on what we heard from city...
Oh, what is that? We're buying this thing on layaway?
Okay, if Irving Azoff is part of the group that's buying it, they're probably legit, though.
But that is an interesting idea. Okay, if you at some point you decide you cannot make payments anymore, well, the city, you're stuck holding the bag.
Great.
The council members earlier today, that doesn't appear to be a huge concern.
That was Brad Hamilton reporting. So back in May, Alameda County supervisors approved a non-binding deal to buy back the county's half of the Coliseum complex and then sell that stake to AASEG.
Okay, so now I've got it figured out. Bobbitt's buying the county's half and the city's half is going to this other group. This is still a convoluted mess, and part of the problem was everyone said it was such a mess to deal with because the county owned half, and then the city owned half, and the team owned part of it.
What a mess.
The county had previously sold their half of the site to the A's.
So there you go. That is the latest on apparently finally happening, the sale of the Oakland Coliseum 2 years after Sheng said it was going to happen.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
There is a kerfuffle going on right now in the city of Long Beach regarding advertisements that may not be age appropriate for school-age kids.
It's one of these things that once you see it, you don't unsee it. If you're driving around Los Angeles, you see all of these like vans or pickup trucks with a trailer attached. And the trailer attached just has a sign advertising like 4 Hands Massage, we will come to you, or advertise all kinds of hookup websites and hookup dates and all the stuff that they used to advertise on Craigslist and Backpage. Well, in Long Beach, somebody is taking one of these trailers with these signs advertising these adult websites, and they're putting them in front of a school.
Okay, how many customers could potentially be in a school?
Well, maybe they're targeting the teachers.
There's only like 1 or 2 custodians per school.
Look, I don't understand the target demo for this stuff. I've seen these things in Sherman Oaks across the street from the Whole Foods next to the 405 and the 101, and I'm always wondering, who is this for?
Okay, do you think that that's who they're targeting, or do you think that the guy whose job it is to drive that around just lives next to the school, so he just parks it there?
That's possible. I also wonder, how much could you possibly be making from, do you get paid by referral when somebody goes to the illicit massage parlor that's advertised on the back of a van?
You know where you see those all over the place is in Las Vegas on the Strip. The
And what
Strip
are they-
is filled with them.
Yeah, and what are they advertising?
Well, if they have 4 hands in Long Beach, they have 8 hands in Las Vegas.
Well, for more on this story in Long Beach, let's go to NBC in Los Angeles.
And we begin at 6 tonight with growing outrage over bright pink vans and trailers.
Oh, yeah, they're always the most gaudy colors and very distracting, and it is a strange thing. Obviously, these companies can't afford a billboard, so the next best thing, park a creepy van in front of the grocery store.
Great.
Throughout the city of Long Beach. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
I'm Jonathan Gonzalez. These vans are covered with signs with explicit messages. They've been spotted near homes.
Pinky's Girls? Adult fun?
Well, if you're a fan of the Friday movies, there was a character named Pinky. Remember him?
Oh, yeah. Now, I will say, we are in the advertising business. Pinky, not the best use of your resources to be buying a sign on the back of a van. AM radio has a bigger reach than you know.
Well, Pinky doesn't have the funds of the ring finger.
Businesses and even schools.
People are now demanding that these vans be removed from the neighborhoods.
So what is this, a stripper thing?
I think
Prostitute?
so.
What's going on here?
Okay, school-age kids can't afford that.
NBC4's Alex Rozier joins us live from Long Beach with a response from the city. Alex.
Colleen and Jonathan, this is just one trailer parked at Cherry and Del Amo Boulevard promoting an adult website. It definitely...
Boy, these guys are getting all kinds of free advertising today.
Well, at least he spelled it correctly.
is catching the eye of a lot of drivers here, and some people want the city to do something about it.
Rex Richardson ain't doing a damn thing about this.
Well, he might go to the website.
These eye-catching ads have people talking in Long Beach.
I have kids, so I don't like the advertising. I don't like that kind of advertising.
I like that guy's hat.
Yeah, he's dressed like a young Cal Worthington.
I think it's really inappropriate for a public space.
This trailer advertising what it calls adult fun and adult hookups is now parked at Cherry and Del Amo Boulevard. We're blurring the website address.
So they don't even have a phone number. It's just a straight internet operation.
Okay, how could you advertise for something that's illegal in the state of California?
Good question. Well, what I'm wondering is, there are certain rules and regulations you have to abide by when you are advertising, but does it count as advertising when you're just pulling up something that's on the back of a trailer attached to a pickup truck?
Okay, but let's just say that you're advertising for something else that's illegal. You're advertising for a hitman. They wouldn't allow that to be next to a school. That's illegal. You can't do that.
Don't give them any ideas.
It's not the only place we saw these ads in Long Beach. We also found these two vans parked a mile away.
How many of these are there?
Apparently, Pinky has a lot of girls.
Pinky is doing so well that they can pay for several vans, paint them pink, put up the sign. You know, I hate to put this out there to the audience, but if you want to email us anonymously, because we got a lot of listeners in Long Beach, and if you've ever called Pinky, and you've been to Pinky, and you've seen Pinky's Girls, just tell us exactly what was going on there. We'll keep your name anonymous, I swear.
By the way, do you notice in this frame that we now have on the screen that Pinky parked his vans next to the Cherry Car Wash?
Little on the nose, Pinky.
On Cherry Avenue. Long Beach Council member Tanua Thrash Intook represents the neighborhood where this trailer was dropped. She says her office has received nearly 100 complaints.
People are calling, people are placing things on social media, and just making it clear that, they do not want this in their neighborhood.
NBC4 has not yet identified the owner of the website, but the registration on this van comes back to someone.
Boy, that is a trashed up van, all right. Looks like someone took a knife to both of the bucket seats. What is going on here? There is a seedy underbelly of this county, of this state, of people that are making their living doing this.
But this should be easy to shut down in one afternoon. If you're advertising for something that cannot legally be done in California, that's supposed to be underground. There's a reason it's clandestine. But if you just put it on a van in the middle of a big city and they just leave it there, and the city goes, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
They're dancing right on the line, I'm guessing, because if it was called Pinky's Whores, we'd know what was going on.
Named Sammy Amari. NBC4 investigators learned Amari
we got a comment I got to post on the screen here. This comes from Bruce, who writes in at YouTube, I wonder if Pinky is going to use lipstick bail bonds, which is a real company. We got a comment here from listener Go Hank, who said, I'm sorry, guys. I have to leave the show. I need to go check it out.
Oh, yeah. That guy's going to end up with a virus on his laptop.
The John Phillips Show cannot be held responsible if you, the listening and watching audience, goes and visits Pinky's Girls. That's on you. We did not encourage you to do so.
Sued at least 3 cities for First Amendment violations, including Long Beach. And in Long Beach, court papers reveal Amari won, and the city had to pay him nearly $300,000.
Okay, so now we know what this is. No. There are law firms that go around and they sue mom and pop small businesses that aren't ADA compliant. It's not someone in a wheelchair that couldn't get to a bathroom. It's a law firm that's a sleazy firm that makes their living suing small restaurants. What I think is going on here, I don't even think there is a Pinky. I think they're just putting those vans out there that are totally outrageous with the hopes that the city will force them to move the van, and then they can file a First Amendment lawsuit against the city and make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So this isn't a ADA troll. This is a First Amendment troll.
Yes.
That is a fascinating theory, because I got to imagine the $300,000 they got from the city of Long Beach is way more than Pinky's Girls could bring in a whole month.
Yeah, Pinky would have to turn a lot of tricks to make that kind of dough.
It would be really, really, really funny if there actually aren't any Pinky's Girls, and this is just how this firm knows how to successfully sue cities. That is great.
So the city attorney, the city manager is very well aware of who the actor is.
Today, NBC4 attempted to reach Amari, but did not hear back. The council member says she's still...
Alex, you might need to go into deep cover on this one.
You think so?
Exploring several ways to remove this trailer, including towing it when it's left here too long.
No trailer, no car should be inoperable on the public streets, not moving at all.
I would hold your words there. There's plenty of RVs that you could describe that very same way that you don't do a damn thing about.
Yep.
An extended period of time.
She says it's already been towed on several occasions, but it keeps coming back. She says she's also exploring...
I mean, now I understand how this guy was able to buy so many vans and trailers.
Yeah, winning that kind of lawsuit money.
$300,000 because they towed his Pinky. It's wild.
Exploring ways to keep it away from schools.
And I do not believe that that is the right audience or the most appropriate place to have a trailer like this. The main thing is that, this is the wrong community, the wrong place, and the wrong message.
What's the right community for this?
By the way, did you see that listener Bill just went to Pinky's website and just sent us a picture of one of Pinky's girls?
Oh, boy. Is that on the email?
Yeah. Bill.
All right, I'm looking at the email from Bill. Oh, my. Well, Pinky's got some girls, all right. Although that's pretty tame for the stuff that you see on, like, OnlyFans.
Well, maybe Pinky has the philosophy of why give away the milk?
What I will say is we are very appreciative of how this audience has turned into, overnight, a whole pack of investigative reporters.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of Nancy Graces in the audience. No, Pinky's not giving away the milk. He wants you to buy the cow.
And we will not stop until we identify a solution that removes this kind of advertising in family-friendly neighborhoods.
We did hear from some community members who feel like the city has not taken enough action after their complaints.
Well, the city tried to do something, and it cost them $300,000.
Oh, yeah. If they force Pinky to move that, he's going to ding him for another $300,000.
I mean, this is a situation where I'm not blaming the city of Long Beach anymore. This is on the damn judges that made that call.
Idiots.
People who live near those vans a mile away on Cherry Avenue say those vans have been out there for several months. Jonathan and Colleen.
Alex, have we reached out to Long Beach police? What are they saying?
Well, Long Beach police did send me a statement this afternoon saying that they have also heard from the community, and they say that they will take enforcement action when appropriate. I asked them for specifics on that. They say if the vehicles are parked illegally, they will either cite the owner or tow them.
So there you go. I think you cracked the case on this one, Johnny.
Yeah, because if there was a Pinky, the news would have been right at his doorstep. And I guarantee you he would have been colorful.
Pinky's whole game is to get cities to complain about this, to try to get rid of these vans, to try to get rid of these trailers, and then sue the cities and win hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages on a violation of your First Amendment rights. What a racket.
So the consensus is to just leave it there.
I guess you can't win.
Okay, listener Bill just wrote back and said, I would call, but my wife would definitely get mad.
Well, we don't want you doing that. We appreciate people putting themselves in harm's way for this show, but don't ruin your marriage over trying to help us with a comedy bit that we're going to stop doing in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Although we do appreciate the investigative journalism.
This audience full of little Bill Malusians out there and Alex Roziers and Ed Laskoses and Matthew Seedorfs. We've even got some Marvin Zindlers out there.
Well, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass just said something that's raising a lot of eyebrows. She told the bums, meth does a body good.
Karen Bass was in Woodland Hills at the groundbreaking of a brand new gigantic tower for seniors of affordable housing. And when talking about the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles, she said something very, very, very Karen Bass-esque. That she totally understands why all the people in the tents are on meth all the time.
Now, she didn't present the meth as if it was kryptonite to Superman, and it was something that should be avoided. She portrayed the meth as being like spinach to Popeye, where the meth gives the bum strength.
For more on this, we go to, seems like he gets the A block more often than not these days, Fox 11 and our buddy Matthew Seedorf.
All day on Fox 11 tonight, a massive affordable housing project set to transform the Woodland Hills skyline. 4 towers.
The traffic is already awful in that part of town. It's going to get so much worse.
And by the way, it's supposed to be for seniors. When they were asked if it would be seniors that move in, they go, well, maybe.
Nearly 3,500 low-income housing units and a $2 billion price tag. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf.
By the way, if you drive through that area right now, especially if you go up and down Owens Mouth on the side of what used to be the promenade, there is just nonstop tents.
Great.
goes one-on-one with Mayor Karen Bass on the push to build more housing faster and the questions that come with that. Matthew?
Yeah, this announcement just wrapped up a couple of hours ago, as did our interview with Mayor Karen Bass. It sounds like the skyline in Woodland Hills is going to be changing very soon.
See, this is the kind of low-key story you can probably get Karen Bass to go on record about and actually do an interview with Seedorf. But she didn't expect him to be there when she said what you're about to hear her say.
High-end unveiling for one of the biggest affordable housing projects in LA history. 4 glass towers rising as high as 42 stories above Woodland Hills.
Okay, I have a very, very, very basic question. This is for seniors, right?
Allegedly, but in LA, everyone lies about their age, so who knows?
What senior wants to live on the 42nd floor?
Not me.
That was just the beginning.
I'm extremely excited.
Mayor Karen Bass speaking exclusively with
What's
Fox
with the head
11.
bobbing?
Maybe she's just so excited to be in the clean air of the dumpy valley out instead of being in Boyle Heights.
Imagine Karen Bass bobblehead doll night at Dodger Stadium.
Don't give them any ideas.
Us, this project is moving through her Executive Directive 1, allowing 100% affordable housing projects to skip the typical public hearing process.
Oh, and that's the one that she had to reverse almost immediately because of all the blowback, where we were approving 7-story apartment buildings in a single-family cul-de-sac in Sherman Oaks. But anything that got in before she undid Executive Order 1, it's in there, and this is one of these projects. And just remember, when you hear the term affordable housing, what that really means is subsidized.
I love the fact that they have all of these ridiculous rules for building something in the city. And everyone has to jump through all of those hoops, including the fire victims. But if it's something they really, really, really want, they just streamline it and bam, it's done lickety-split.
Crazy Eights writes it on YouTube, low-income housing, so they'll cost $3,000 for a one-bedroom.
Probably.
Realistic Raider writes in, you know the real cost will triple $9 billion. Yeah, probably.
It was the beginning of slashing as much red tape as possible.
The price tag around $2 billion. Where is that coming from?
Well, it's public-private, but it's also what they have raised.
So what part of it's public?
Yeah, I like how she just meshes them together real fast.
Again, affordable housing means that we are paying for it. We paid the developers to build these things, and we're subsidizing the rent, which also makes everything else more expensive.
Project is not seeking any.
Also, now that this is specifically catered to a specific class of people and it's cordoned off as affordable housing, that doesn't affect anything going on with market rate housing. So $4,000 one bedrooms in the valley are going to stay $4,000 one bedrooms in the valley.
Direct dollars from the city. A combination of tax-exempt bonds, low-income housing, tax credit investment, private capital as well.
The web of funding for these projects is so unbelievably confusing. To build one building, there's like 12 different buckets of money they get from, and nobody understands how any of it is funded. And if any of those buckets run dry, you have what's going on in Cheviot Hills, a motel that was supposed to turn into a homeless shelter that's been under construction for 6 years.
And the more buckets you have and the more complicated it is, the easier it is for people to stick their hand in the till.
Skyfox above the future site along Canoga Avenue.
Much needed housing to a population that needs it.
Almost 3,500 units are planned, mostly for low-income seniors. What percent of people living here are going to be seniors?
Ooh, I mean, I don't know the exact percent.
So it's not senior housing.
No, of course not. That's how they're going to bill it, but no. Because seniors, you don't have to worry about them doing meth and robbing you and those sorts of things. But if they put the bums in, or they put other people with other problems in, then the community would go nuts and not want it there.
We got a comment here from Tubular Bra on YouTube. I love these names. Where do I register as homeless?
I know that by 2030, 1 million Angelinos will be 60 and over.
During the unveiling, the mayor also...
Yeah, but how much of this building is dedicated towards the seniors, and how much of it is Section 8 for the people currently living in a tent on Owens Mouth?
to address the homeless crisis and open drug use.
You sleep out in the street for a couple of weeks and tell me that you're not using something to stay sane or use meth.
Wait, you need to use drugs to stay sane?
Yeah, I think it's the exact opposite, Karen.
Let me rewind this. You need to hear the mayor in her full words. This is the mayor of Los Angeles, everybody.
Unveiling, the mayor also addressed the homeless crisis and open drug use.
You sleep out in the street for a couple of weeks and tell me that you're not using something to stay sane or use meth so that you don't go to sleep to protect yourself.
After this,
use meth so you don't go to sleep to protect yourself?
That is some reasoning.
You don't understand. All of the people on the streets, they never touched drugs before they ended up on the streets, but they need the meth because, and this is the theory, if they're not high on meth at all hours of the night, they're going to get raped.
How about this? They lived in a house and then they started doing meth, and then no one wanted anything to do with them, so they end up on the streets in the encampments with other people who share their love for meth.
Tom writes in, largemouth bass running her mouth again. Now, Seedorf got to have the mayor clarify her comments.
Speech, we asked the mayor to clarify. You said that people are on the street using meth for protection?
Well, no, what I said
That's literally what you said.
Word for word.
For protection.
is no. What I said is that I know that people have used meth to stay awake at night so they don't fall asleep because they're worried about being assaulted.
So they don't get assaulted during the day when they use the fentanyl to go to bed?
It's so funny to hear her words repeated back to her, and she looks at him like, no, that's crazy. Who would say that? Well, you did about 10 minutes ago.
It's on tape. The homeless use the meth to protect themselves, I'm guessing from the other homeless that want to sexually assault them Plattner style.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember on the Chappelle show when they had Rick James on and he made some sort of outrageous remark? And then they asked him, what about this that you just said? He goes, I never said that. And then they rewind the tape and they play it right back.
That is exactly what this is. And I would love to play that clip, but it is not safe for air.
Meth is not protection.
From the new...
You just said meth is protection. Share it far, share it wide, share today's show with anybody you know that lives in Los Angeles. You heard her say it and then deny it. Karen Bass believes meth is for protection.
Towers soon rising above Woodland Hills to the people sleeping on LA streets. The mayor says both are part of the same fight.
My goal has always been to end street homelessness. And
You said you were going to end it by 2026. John, what year is it?
Well, let me look at my watch. Oh, yeah, it's 2026.
had bumps along the way, especially bumps in funding.
And bumps of meth.
Lots of bumps of meth, for protection.
And then we have changes on the federal level. But regardless, I'm going to stay to it.
A whole lot of questions remain about this project, including about traffic and parking. They said that...
Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. And I go to that area a lot to go to the villages. Jason writes in on YouTube, you only need about 3% of the units classified as low income to qualify it for all of the low income burning permits and free government money. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Also, these things are always temporary. Then they go to market rate, and then we constantly say there's not enough affordable housing.
Well, just think about this for a second. The San Fernando Valley is filled with ranch-style single-family homes. That's how it was built. That's what the infrastructure is there for. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of an area with single-family ranch-style homes, you make it look like Midtown Manhattan, and you put a bunch of people on meth in those buildings.
Sounds like a great idea.
There's going to be about 800 parking spots, and they estimate that this project could have construction.
Wait a second. 800 parking spots for 3,000 units?
That seems about right.
Completed by around 2029. We're live tonight downtown. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Yeah, Matthew, you talk about the traffic. I know this area well. Behind where they're going to build this, there's a luxury
I thought Glenn was a Valley guy.
senior apartment building. It's called the Varial. There's also one under construction on Canoga and Burbank Boulevard. Between that, you've got what Stan Kroenke's doing at the Warner Center. They're tearing down the Promenade Mall. They're going to build Rams Park. I mean, can the roads handle all that traffic?
I'll answer for you. They cannot.
They can't handle the traffic they already have.
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of residents are going to be having, but as we just heard, they're going to have about 800 parking spots, about over 3,000 units of people living inside.
800 parking spots for 3,500 units. Okay.
Yeah, Glenn's not buying it.
No. What could go wrong over at Meth Towers?
We got a comment here from Matthew. Karen and Nithya would cause people to use drugs just to stay sane with each other's policies.
Yeah, no kidding. And they're selling it to us like the Golden Girls are going to move in. As we mentioned before, the situation in Boyle Heights is not getting better. In fact, it's getting worse. And now it looks like the effort to clean things up and make that neighborhood smell better is not going to finish on time, or at least not on the timeline that the mayor gave. For more on that, here's Randy Wang.
It's time for another segment of
You can smell it right here.
This time, Senator Alex Padilla toured the rotting warehouse. You know who still hasn't toured it? Gavin Newsom.
Where the hell is Gavin?
Probably doing someone's podcast, talking about socialism. For more, here is CBS in Los Angeles.
And to our continuing coverage of the warehouse fire in Boyle Heights now. The heat is making the smell of rotting food in the facility even worse amid the cleanup.
Oh, boy.
But don't worry, the city of LA will have an air purifier for you sometime next month.
People without AC at home are forced to suffer the unbearable stench by opening their windows or...
I do not understand, especially, maybe for the beach cities, I get it. But even then, how do you live anywhere in LA without air conditioning?
I don't know, and I especially don't know how you do it when you can't open up your windows because of that.
Struggle in the heat inside their sweltering homes.
CBS LA's Lori Perez is live in Boyle Heights tonight, where a senator is calling on the EPA to get involved. Lori.
They'll be there right after they do the Tijuana River.
I love the fact that they're trying to turn this into a federal problem when the locals drop the ball right and left, but all they want to do is congratulate each other for their leadership, and no one's willing to be critical of anyone else.
Well, guys, the smell is so bad tonight. I hate to tell
Oh, poor lady. Lori got the short straw tonight.
you that late this afternoon, the agency that monitors air quality throughout Los
She looks like her eyes are watering in the middle of this report. This poor reporter.
Wouldn't yours be? I'd be wearing goggles. I'd show up looking like James Worthy.
I'm just going to say it right now. We're offering a lot of stretch goals to get people to subscribe to this channel and the Accountability Podcast. It'd have to be an astronomical number to get us to do a live remote from Boyle Heights. I'm not saying no, but you got to make it worth it.
Angeles issued a second citation to Lineage for the lingering odor from that rotting smell that you've been talking about from the burned out warehouse behind us. You can see there's still a lot of work going on tonight, and there is a haze of some steam rising as the work continues tonight.
Some steam from what? The pig carcasses?
I don't know what the steam is coming from, but there's no way it can be good.
Senator Alex Padilla got to smell it for himself.
Oh, good Lord.
You can smell it right here.
Oh, I'm sure he is so glad he came back to California for this.
Welcome home, Alex.
And smell why some locals are scared to breathe.
It is just because the fire's out doesn't mean that this situation is over.
No, in fact, it just begun.
Oh, yeah.
By the LA Fire Chief, Senator Alex Padilla took a smelly tour of Boyle Heights today, greeted by angry locals and the reek of spoiling food.
And I want you to feel our indignation when we hear our parents talk about their children.
Isn't she the one that cussed out Ferrer?
She sounds like her. I didn't get a good look at her when we did the podcast, but she certainly does sound like her.
After the show at 3 o'clock, you got to watch our accountability podcast because these ladies gave Bass and the fake doctor an earful.
Having blood come out of their nose.
Padilla says he is calling on the Environmental Protection Agency.
Wait, that sign said give the East Side what the Palisades got? The Palisades got bupkis.
Well, they're getting that too. I guess that's equity, Randy.
Do they want fire aid money that went nowhere too?
Echoing local calls for stronger public health protections during the cleanup and consistent, clear updates about what's in the air and the water post-fire. He says he knows.
Oh, boy.
Well, you know there's something in the water because the people are all getting rashes when they take showers.
Yep.
Those neighbors are worried about living next to these industrial complexes.
So the potential for something like this to happen only exacerbates ongoing environmental justice challenges that we have in the community. So we have to get the answers. We have to not just remediate to what was, we have to remediate to better.
That's long term, but tonight neighbors are reporting an infestation of rats and flies attracted by the very smell that repels humans.
At what point do we just say, screw it, and we move the whole city 5 miles east?
You know, they did that in Houston.
That's
Houston
right.
Houston used to be in Galveston, and then it got leveled by one too many hurricanes, and they said, all right, we're picking up and moving.
Houston 2.0.
If you have rotten food, all kinds of meats in front of your face all day, every day.
That is quite a description.
These poor, poor people.
As temperatures have risen, the odor has grown as neighbors continue to hide inside with doors and windows closed. Some, like Alexandra Dominguez, who says she's missed work and paid for hotels, have finally gotten vouchers for a few days at Airbnbs far from here.
That'll do it. A couple of days at an Airbnb.
Yeah, go down to Newport Beach and tear that town up.
Others want Governor Newsom to issue a mandatory evacuation so they can get help with mortgage and rent relief or help relocating.
Well, first you'd have to get Gavin to pay attention to this issue, which he is not going to do. He is termed out. He doesn't give a crap about this. He's not going to go down there and smell it.
No, because then there's going to be images of him at an environmental disaster in his own state where the residents are going to be cursing him out for not showing up until very late in the game.
As of today, Lineage is reporting crews have removed about 365 tons of food waste out of 85 million pounds.
Okay, I had to do this math this morning because hearing those numbers, you might be confused because they're comparing tons to pounds. So in case you were an LAUSD graduate, 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So if they have now moved out 350 tons, remember, Karen Bass gave them a 45-day timeline to clear out everything. We are now a week and a half into that, and they've cleared out 350 tons. So you need to ask yourself first, okay, well, how many tons is 85 million pounds? I'm glad you asked. I did the math this morning. It's 45,000 tons. So that means we have yet to move even 1% of the rotting food. We are at 0.8% of all the food that's out there, and this is going to be done by mid-August? I don't think so. One of the things that I learned from watching that entire town hall was the guy from Lineage who was getting questioned over and over and over again about this 45-day magical timeline from Karen Bass, where she first said, oh, we're going to beat that timeline, then said, yeah, usually a project of this scope would take 6 months.
Oh, I think that's about what it's going to take. And just because they move all of the rotting food out doesn't mean the smell is going to go away, because there's still going to be remnants of all of that stuff. But just because the big pieces got removed doesn't mean it's going to suddenly start smelling like a can of Lysol.
They've wrapped the outside with tarp to contain the smell.
How's that working out?
Well, based on the fact that everyone in these reports are in masks, leads me to believe it's not working.
So we know what it smells like outside of the tarp, but if you're one of these contractors that's going in there to remove the rotting pig meat, what do you think it smells like inside there?
How much do you think they're getting paid to do that?
All kinds of hazard pay, I'm sure.
The roof is now open. A month after the fire, 80-year-old Consuelo says, for all of us who live around
I understood nosotros. Means us.
Here, it's been hell. Today, we ran into another local volunteer group going door to door, offering to help with utilities, rent, or anything they can.
I feel sad. It's amazing that they have not cleared that. It's been like a month.
It actually has been like a month. And just to reiterate, this is the fact that you need to take away from today's show is that they have not even cleared 1% of the rotting food. Not 1%.
Well, it's a year and a half after the Palisades fire, and 1% of the homes have been rebuilt. That's it.
Well, actually, it's worse than that. In Altadena, it's like 1%. In the Palisades, it's 0.4%. Do a lot of math.
Now, as far as the second citation Lineage got today, there could be financial penalties if the problem is not addressed. Neighbors on this street tell us Lineage was going door to door yesterday, handing out more air purifiers and air conditioners.
That's not going to do it.
Nope, not even close.
But some say it is too little, too late. We're live in Boyle Heights tonight. I'm Lori Perez, CBS LA.
Please don't make her do another hit. Let her go home. That's a tough one.
What kind of migraine headaches do you think you end up with if you do a live shot over there?
You'll probably end up, if you do enough of those live shots, sounding like Serene Branson when she had the mini stroke.
All right, you want a prediction out of me as to what's going to go on with the situation?
I would love that.
Okay. In the case of what's going on in the Palisades, those people are getting screwed in different ways. And my guess is there will be a lawsuit of some form against the city of Los Angeles for their role in that devastation. And I think that those people will get a check of some size because of it. The fact that the man who allegedly started the fire could not be convicted because so many people on the jury thought that the city of LA was responsible leads you to believe that a civil jury would be quite generous to the victims if given the opportunity to be. So those people, I think, it's going to take forever, and it's going to take a lot of hardship, and it's going to take a lot of misery and a lot of lost years of your life, but at some point, they're going to get a big check. These people are going to get nothing because here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lawsuit. There's going to be some kind of class action lawsuit against those responsible for this. And when the money is determined, what they're owed, the money is not going to go to them. The money is going to go to the NGOs who are allegedly there to help them. So all of the groups who are already getting money from the city of Los Angeles, who are clearly not doing anything to help these people in any measurable way, will then get even more money after the lawsuits happen. Because that's where the money's going to go.
Look at this comment we got here from Crazy Eights. With the tarp, they're just growing anaerobic bacteria instead, also raising the humidity, encouraging mold growth. Sounds like a bad idea to me. And look at this comment from Hammer Hyena. I love these usernames. I actually wonder if it would have been better to just let the whole thing burn down so at least the meat got cooked off.
Well, you have Barbara Ferrer from the county, and you have Karen Bass, who went down there and told them that it's perfectly healthy to breathe in the fumes, that it's not unhealthy. Yet you hear these stories from the people who live there, and they're all consistent. Apparently, their lungs are full of fluid, and they have blood coming out of their noses. That doesn't happen under normal circumstances. So clearly, they're sick. They're being exposed to all kinds of dangerous chemicals and smokes that is doing foul things to their bodies. And the government is just denying that it's happening. The government is just saying, no, it's safe. And we're going to give you Tylenol if you come into one of our public health clinics and everything's fine.
That was the main criticism that Babs got that you can see on the Accountability podcast. People were going in, their lungs were filled with phlegm. They wanted x-rays. They wanted to get pumped. And they were saying, oh, here's some Tylenol. Maybe Tylenol PM. You can have a nice night's sleep. James writes in on YouTube, thousands of hanging little pine tree fresheners. That'll fix it.
That's the type of thing that they're doing. What a mess. I'll tell you, if you want my advice, if you live in that neighborhood, it's the same advice that I would give you if you lived in the Palisades. Cut bait and move, because it's not coming back to normal anytime soon, and you're just going to get jerked around for a very long period of time. And it's not worth it, ultimately. Just pack up your stuff and move to a different neighborhood. Facial recognition is now coming to grocery stores in the Bay Area.
Specifically at grocery outlets, this is a plan to stop shoplifting with AI facial recognition technology. And eagle-eyed fans of the show know that the graphic that I had AI make for this one misspelled shoplifting, and I didn't catch it till we made it to the air. You know what I say? Good enough. For more on this, we go to KPIX in the Bay.
Meantime, a Bay Area-based supermarket chain is rolling out a controversial new way to prevent theft. Grocery Outlet is implementing facial recognition technology in several of its...
Who goes to the grocery outlet to steal what? The 2-year-old box of Rice Krispies?
Okay, but here's the issue. It's not as if they don't know who's stealing from them. It's that no one does anything about it.
Bay Area stores. So it's aimed at stopping shoplifters before they even make it through the front door. So our Maddie White is live at the Pleasant Hill Bargain Market with a look at how it works. It sounds interesting, Maddie, but I'm hearing that some shoppers are split on how they feel about it. Tell us about it.
They absolutely were, Juliet. Most recent FBI crime data shows that shoplifting in California is at an all-time high and that we're now about 50% worse than where we were pre-pandemic. And that may explain why grocery stores like Grocery Outlet behind me here in Pleasant Hill are turning to AI for help. At some Grocery Outlet stores, shoppers are now being greeted by more than just a security camera. Signs on the front door for something called Safer say facial recognition software is being used to identify people suspected of shoplifting.
I've never heard of this technology being used in this way, but this is the stuff that they have at the Clippers Arena, the Intuit Dome, where it scans your face and you never have to show them a ticket for anything. In fact, you can buy popcorn just by scanning your face. It is wild.
Alerting store employees if someone on its watch list walks inside. For some customers, that makes perfect sense.
I worked for years as a manager of a store, and the theft was just unbelievable.
June Guerrero says she's watched retailers...
That girl buys a lot of Pepsi.
If you see someone who you know is a thief that walks in, you still have to have someone walk up to them and say, "You're a thief, get out."
Typically, we don't want that because that might create a bigger incident.
Yeah, you think?
The cost of theft for years and has no problem with the new technology.
I don't at all. I agree with it.
Others support the goal, but not necessarily how it works.
I do understand, but, invading my privacy with my picture, everybody going in and out, I don't agree on that.
She don't like it.
I wonder if she doesn't like it because she doesn't want people keeping tabs on how often she hits up the grocery store for Twix bars.
You know, gotta kind of find another way.
It's worth noting, Safer's privacy policy states unmatched customer images are deleted immediately. Then there are shoppers like Steve Burdett, who aren't worried about being on camera. They're worried about whether AI gets it right.
It could lead to a lot of problems, I think.
That same question.
I mean, AI's not perfect. I created that image of me as a goat herder with 3 hands.
How much do you want to bet all of the casinos in Las Vegas already do this? People who rob from casinos, people who count cards, people who have been asked to leave before. I bet you they have a computer with all of that information on it.
Okay, I want to know what this lady's story is. She's walking out with as many frozen peas as she can carry.
Maybe she has a slingshot, too.
Can AI get it wrong? Is one technology experts are watching closely, too.
There's about a dozen states where the collection of biometric information requires opt-in consent. California isn't one of them.
Mario Trujillo.
Hey, we can all spy on each other. Great.
Well, apparently everyone's cheating over at the DMV.
Well, it's either everyone's cheating over at the DMV or the DMV thinks that everyone is cheating.
Or maybe it's just Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman who are making sure they grease the skids for their kids.
Boy, neither of them are ever going to live down that one, are they?
No, they're not.
For more on this, here is a great piece from ABC 10 in Sacramento.
When David Specht moved from Chicago to Sacramento late last year, he passed his DMV knowledge test, got his California driver license, and thought he was done.
You know what? You should get an automatic pass if you're coming from a state that has to deal with ICE.
I don't know if I'd be bragging about this, by the way. You know what the questions are like on that test, right? Red means stop, and green means fill in the blank.
You know, there are some people that don't pass.
But 6 months later, that changed. David says he received this letter saying the DMV found irregularities in his knowledge test results. Unless he passed the test again within 30 days, his license would be canceled.
What?
Now, wait a minute. What kind of funny business was going on when this guy took his test?
Did he have the AI take the test for him? What was going on?
Now, are those glasses that he's wearing to block the sun, or is he blind?
Well, I got to imagine if he was blind, he would not be applying for a driver's license.
Well, maybe that's what the DMV is concerned about.
When I first got the letter, I thought maybe because I had taken the test so quickly, it was flagged. And then the more I thought about it...
Usually things move real slow at that DMV.
Yeah, no kidding, like molasses.
I just found it odd, so I Googled some of the language from the letter, and I stumbled upon numerous Reddit threads and Facebook posts.
We connected with some people on those same social media pages, and they shared their DMV letters with us. All were identical copies of David's letter, saying the DMV had identified irregularities in the knowledge test results, leading...
What does that even mean, though?
I don't know. Maybe that's one of these DMV employees working from home and somebody sat on that enter key too long.
Don't knock working from home. They're going to make you drive to Culver City.
To the license cancellation notices being mailed out.
Hey, can you hear me?
We met people from across the state, many of whom are newer residents getting their California license for the first time, like Michelle Radke in the Bay Area.
And getting this letter, it almost felt like I was being punished or like I broke a rule that I didn't know what happened.
Welcome to California.
You'll experience more of that here, too.
And Mike Stover in Los Angeles.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was I thought it was a scam at first because, again, I took my driver's test back in December of last year. So it's been 6 months.
We reached out to the DMV to confirm the number of cancellation notices they sent out and what specific irregularities were identified in the knowledge test results and how the DMV identified them. An agency spokesperson said in part, quote, "The California DMV has identified irregularities in certain driver knowledge test results."
That's not specific to anything.
No. No, we saw they wrote stuff on their hand. They used their phone. Someone was whispering in their ear. That's the kind of answer you need to come up with.
But this is 11,000 different applicants at DMVs up and down the state in a very specific amount of time. What exactly are they alleging here? Did someone post the test online on Reddit?
Results that may indicate instances of cheating through our.
Also, I don't think they even check to see if you're looking at your phone while you're taking the test.
No, that is the most apathetic place on planet Earth. No one over there gives a damn.
Routine internal monitoring, we reviewed multiple data points and found patterns suggesting that some individuals may have attempted to circumvent the testing process using various cheating methods.
11,000 of them?
As part of this ongoing review, the DMV notified approximately 11,000 individuals that they must return to a DMV office and retake their knowledge test within 30 days.
So you've already lost 8 hours of your life. How about another 8 hours?
Individuals who do not complete and pass the retest will have their driver's license canceled.
Which in most of California is a big deal. Unless you're living in the city of Los Angeles, because we don't do pretextual stops anymore, so no one's going to pull you over for having an expired license.
It's so weird to me that this state is just anything goes when it goes to so many crimes. Yet if you triggered some kind of algorithm that resulted in them sending you a letter alleging that you cheated, they can revoke your license without providing proof that you cheated.
We're going to ask if there's anyone else in the committee room.
Oh, it's Mr. I Love the High-Speed Rail, Dave Cortese.
Great.
With the DMV taking weeks before admitting the testing result anomalies were tied to possible cheating, we took our questions to the California Senate Transportation Committee, which oversees the agency. Committee Chair Senator Dave Cortese, a Democrat representing Santa Clara County, says he was disappointed but not surprised when we brought this latest issue with the California DMV to him.
Is it a problem that the DMV is not being transparent about what exactly the anomalies are and what they used to identify them?
It is a problem that the DMV is not being transparent. It tends to be a very opaque organization. We have trouble getting data. Most legislators.
Even the state senators can't deal with the DMV.
Maybe this is one of these things where, I don't know, to hit certain markers on their budget, they needed to administer 11,000 more tests. And since they didn't have any customers, they just created them by alleging that people cheated when they have no proof of that.
Who run bills here in the Capitol will tell you it's very difficult to get basic data that they'd like to have. And it's hard to figure out why the DMV has this culture of keeping their cards so close to the vest. They're one of the most public agencies in every other regard.
While we were...
Gavin campaigned on modernizing the DMV. And while the DMV ATM that is at Ralph's is fantastic, if you ever actually have to go in that office, it still feels like it's 1978.
I'll tell you, I do most of my DMV paperwork over at the Auto Club. You could pretty much do most everything there except for taking the tests.
I thought we're supposed to keep that a secret. That's why those lines aren't very long.
Investigating this story, Cortese and his team sent a letter to the DMV director asking many of the same questions.
That's a TLDR at the DMV. They're not reading that.
No.
We did. What exactly were the testing anomalies and what tool or...
That's going to be that meme. Sorry, I ain't reading that. Sorry that happened to you, or I'm happy for you, whichever one works.
method did the DMV use to identify them? Cortese says the DMV's response will help determine whether lawmakers need to take further action.
Where are they spending their money? Are they spending their money on algorithms and AI? Is this stuff working? Is their IT system working?
How much money are we blowing on Anthropic?
Those are all questions that we can address.
This DMV testing issue has gotten bipartisan attention. Cortese's Senate colleague, Senator Tony Strickland,
friend of the show, Tony Strickland's on this.
That's right. He's regular.
A Republican and vice chair of the Transportation Committee also sent his own letter to the DMV director demanding transparency.
We should have more answers and describe exactly why they have to take the test again. And it's just unacceptable to be vague.
Can we send Tony an Amazon link to the microphone you have? Come on, people. These things aren't that expensive.
Well, we need to hold them accountable just like
Hey, that's the name of our podcast.
It is. Subscribe today.
every other agency. And if they don't move forward and they don't cooperate with the legislators, then we need to look at other avenues to, talk about funding.
Let me just send a text to our booker, Tricia. Let's keep Tony Strickland as a phone guest for now.
But for everyday drivers like David Specht, they're left wondering whether the agency got it right.
First off, I don't hold it against the state of California or even
Oh, you will.
Boy, this guy is a newbie.
Well, he comes from Chi-Town, so he thinks that he's from the original corrupt place.
He is.
the frontline workers at the DMV. I do think if this is the system that they have implemented,
your city council and your legislatures, that's nothing. I dealt with corrupt aldermen.
and this is how the system works, then I hate to break it to them, but the system is broken.
So there you go. We have no idea why the DMV decided to invalidate these 11,000 tests. The DMV wouldn't tell the state Senate why they invalidated these tests, and 11,000 people had to go back to the DMV and waste their precious time, and no one will tell them why.
Think about this in any other context. Let's just say you have a kid who's in high school, and the kid goes and the kid takes a biology test, and the kid passes, and the kid gets the credits for that particular class and moves on to the next grade level. And then over summer, you get a letter saying that there were irregularities in your kid's final. There's no proof that they cheated. There's no specific allegation that they cheated. All there is irregularities. And because of those irregularities, they're going to take those units away from your kid, and now your kid has to go to summer school. What parent would allow that to happen? What parent would stand by and go, okay, yeah, that seems reasonable to me. Sorry, Bobby. Instead of going on the vacation to the Grand Canyon, you're going to be stuck at home going to summer school, retaking a class that you've already passed. Who would allow that to happen?
The one thing that the government of California in every agency, and especially the DMV, is there is no such thing as transparency. Oh, crap. That rhymed like 3 times.
Or how about this one? Let's say that there's a game. Let's say that there's a basketball game, a college basketball game, and one team beats the other. And then 2 days later, the NCAA sends a letter going, you know what, there were irregularities in the officiating. And so we're going to overturn the results of that game. You can't do that unless you say, look, they blew this call on this play, and that's what resulted in Team A beating Team B. And therefore, we're going to call it back. Even then, I don't think they do that. But in theory, at least then there's an argument that you could make if a blown call caused the losing team to win the game. But if you just say there's irregularities without identifying what they are, I don't understand who is willing to accept that.
Just another day in the state of California.
But it also kind of falls in line with what we talked about the first hour. It's like the mayoral election, where you go to bed one night, you're thinking it's going to be Bass and Pratt, and then a week later, oh, no, he lost. It's going to be Rahman. You're going to have your choice between a socialist and a communist. It's going to be Rahman or Baz. And you go, well, a week ago that wasn't the case. Well, yeah, we still had more ballots to count, so this is the way it is. You go into the DMV, you take the test, you pass the test, you get your license in the mail. Oh, guess what? Yeah, there's irregularities. We may have to take that back. It's just how business is done in this state.
We're now getting comments in the chat about Nithya that I don't feel comfortable posting, but they are funny.
But my God, and then the DMV gets letters from these members of the state legislature, and they essentially tell them to pound sand. That is a bureaucracy that thinks that they are untouchable from the people and the electeds who represent them.
Well, and in a world of term limits, they are. These people have probably been around a lot longer than the people trying to boss them around.
The bureaucracy is real.
And that is one of the problems that happens with term limits, is that the bureaucracy just decides they're going to wait them out because they're going to be around longer than the electeds. And you know what? They're right.
We had a comment here from ABTYC. I bet on DMV employee was caught taking kickbacks, so all the previous 30 days worth of applicants were required to return. There's one theory.
Well, wasn't the governor of Illinois at one point, George Ryan, kicked out for that? Corruption involving the DMV?
Oh, really?
I think so.
That's fun.
It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the ABC News legal analyst. He's also the author of the Two Lawyers Walk Into a Bar Substack column and co-host of the podcast Too Many Lawyers. Royal Oakes, welcome.
Thanks, John. You make me sound like a busy guy. Congratulations, guys, on all the new developments, the video, and I hear you talking about the like buttons. A piece of advice. You should have a button where people like you and Randy, but they don't care much for me, because otherwise I'm going to cut into your numbers.
No, if what we need for you, Royal, is a love button, because we love our Royal Oaks.
That would be nice.
All right. Well, there's so many topics to get into. Let's start out with Boyle Heights. Residents in Boyle Heights say that they're bleeding from the nose and have lungs that are filled with fluid thanks to the toxic fire and smoke that is burned for days on end at the cold storage facility. At the same time that all of that was going on, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and the LA County Director of Public Health, Barbara Ferrer, and company told them repeatedly in multiple forums that it was perfectly safe to breathe in the smoke. And when residents went to public health clinics, they were given Tylenol and told to go home. Now they are furious. They had a big event down there where the mayor showed up, Barbara Ferrer showed up. They got cursed out. They got yelled at. The residents are absolutely furious with them. And I would imagine at some point they are going to lawyer up. What do you make of all of that?
Oh, absolutely. The idea that it's safe to breathe the air is a big crock. And I can't imagine that politicians would go out on a limb and say this to the public just so everybody will feel a little better, because in a while they're not going to feel well at all. I mean, we're talking about 85 million pounds of food, I believe, stacked 60 feet high. I mean, visualize like the biggest Home Depot in the world with those giant ceilings and, several aircraft carriers or football fields. That's how big this was. And I mean, we're talking about tiny little plastic particles floating through the air that embed themselves deeply into people's lungs. So the idea that, return to your homes, take a deep breath, everything's going to be fine. Yeah, they're going to lawyer up. It's weird to me, John, that people haven't yet filed lawsuits. Now, sometimes there are administrative hoops you have to jump through. You may not file a suit until you exhaust some sort of administrative remedy or file a claim for relief with some regulatory body. But very soon, we're going to see lawsuits, possibly class actions, hundreds or thousands of individual suits. So, yeah, this is going to drag on for decades.
Who do you think the lawsuit would be directed at? And I say that because Bass was out making that claim to residents. However, the source of her information came from the LA County Department of Public Health and Barbara Ferrer. The city of LA is unlike Pasadena and Long Beach, cities that have their own Department of Public Health. The city of LA farms it out to the county, and the county is supposed to be the ones that monitors all these situations and then gives the advice to the various cities who work with them. It was the county who told the city that everything was safe.
Yeah, and whoever says something that isn't true that makes the situation worse is going to get added to the lengthy list of defendants. I mean, certainly they're going to sue the owners of the property. They're going to sue the people who maybe caused it. Allegedly, some folks were up on the roof fussing with some sort of solar panels or something, and they caused it. But in addition to the people who actually owned the building, maintained the building, if you're a public entity, if you're representatives of the county or the city and you give bad advice, guess what? You're going to be added to the list of defendants. And of course, the more defendants, the more deep pockets you have because everybody has some sort of insurance. That's the strategy from the plaintiff's lawyer standpoint, is to get as many deep pockets in there, even if the allegations maybe are a little flaky, a little shaky. Nonetheless, when everybody has to come to a mediation and try to sit down and you've got 15 or 20 defendants, each of whom has a lot of money, that makes it a lot easier to settle and resolve the case. Because, you hear about class actions a lot, John, but very rarely do you actually go to trial. I mean, I handled cases for decades, and I could count on the fingers of one hand the times we actually went to trial in a class action setting because people are allergic to taking the gamble. Instead, they want to hire a really sharp, fast-talking retired judge who can act as a mediator and get everybody to the table and resolve the matter short of a trial, because you never know what a jury's going to do.
How difficult is it to sue the government when the government drops the ball? Because we see this happen. We saw it happen in the Palisades with the fires. We've seen it happen time and time again. When a company is at fault, it seems like that's pretty cut and dry. That's easy. But if the negligence of the city or the negligence of the county is responsible for a bad problem getting worse, that seems to be a tougher putt.
It is. If you're suing a regular human being or a company, just fire away. Do your best and see what the judge or jury think. If you're filing against a public entity like a government, they have something called sovereign immunity. And it simply means that for centuries, our legal system in America has been based on the idea that, okay, you can sue the government under some circumstances, but there have to be limits on it, because otherwise that's all the government would do, would be to spend all their time and money lawyering up and defending against possibly frivolous suits. The good news for consumers is that this immunity isn't absolute. It's just a higher bar. You have to demonstrate that, in fact, there was some gross negligence, some recklessness. So if it's merely the negligence standard that applies to the rest of us, it's very difficult to overcome that governmental immunity doctrine.
If there is a lawsuit, would the money likely go to the people who were harmed by this? Or would the money go to some of these NGOs, some of these non-for-profits who are supposed to be there to help the community, and they're the ones that are being given money currently by the government to pass out the air purifiers and the masks and all of those sorts of things? Who would ring the cash register should there be a class action suit?
The people with the plastic embedded deeply into their lungs, they're the ones who get the money. The nonprofits are involved. They raise all sorts of money. They sometimes do good works, but you have to demonstrate that you personally were actually injured. You're not just somebody with a rooting interest. And that's a big problem, because, if you've got thousands of people saying, okay, we're going to join a class action and we're going to sue all the bad guys that caused this ridiculous, terrible problem, plus some of the city and the state folks that made it worse, that's fine, except the judge is likely to say, you don't get a class action if everybody is going to have to spend endless amounts of time demonstrating their personal situation. Oh, I was here. I was exposed to a certain amount of smoke. I have certain symptoms. I've got certain medical records. You can't have a class action if everybody has their own personal, extensive story to tell. If it's a very quick claims process where, okay, everybody is entitled to win because they've demonstrated that the people who owned the building dropped the ball, that's fine. That's a good class action. But if the case is overwhelmed by individualized issues, then everybody's got to file their own suit, and that makes it even more cumbersome. It'll drag out even more years.
We're speaking with Royal Oakes, co-host of the Too Many Lawyers podcast, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcast. If you do, I highly recommend that you subscribe as well. It's Very easy to do, just one click. That's all it takes. Royal, Lindsey Graham, the U.S. Senator from South Carolina, passed away this week. In addition to being a senator for the state of South Carolina, he was also the leading GOP voice on the Senate Judiciary Committee. He was known for having a very good working relationship with the Democrats, including California's own Dianne Feinstein when she was the top Democrat on the committee. And he's had the ability to get President Trump's picks through that committee and confirmed and ultimately put on the bench. He's had a very good track record with that. He would also frequently break ranks and vote for Democratic nominees when there was a Democrat in the White House, including Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan, who had a lot of kind words about Senator Graham after he passed away. Now that Graham is gone, he'll obviously be replaced on that committee. Where do you see that committee going without him there? Do you think we're going to see a more combative Judiciary Committee without the likes of Lindsey Graham and Dianne Feinstein?
Yeah, I think we are, and it's kind of a scary prospect. As you say, Graham was an interesting character. He was in the Senate for so long, a couple of decades plus, that he knew everybody on both sides. And even though he came across as a real staunch advocate, a combative, partisan kind of guy, a lot of people who aren't big fans of Justice Kavanaugh will remember how hard Lindsey Graham worked, and he led the fight attacking the people who made accusations against Kavanaugh. He also flip-flopped on Trump's right to appoint certain people to the court. But as you say, he was only one of 5 Republican senators who voted for Kagan, and his attitude was, look, elections have consequences. This is a Democrat president who wants Justice Kagan. I'm going to go along with it because there isn't some huge reason not to do it. So the bottom line is I think it'll be more contentious. We live in such a partisan, polarized era that, the Senate Judiciary Committee members aren't immune to this. So it'll be too bad that Lindsey Graham won't be there any longer as a moderating influence.
And on the Democratic side, before she passed away, the Democrats dumped Feinstein as their leading voice on that committee because they thought she wasn't combative enough. They replaced her with Dick Durbin, and then they thought that he wasn't combative enough. So they keep going through people like it's George Steinbrenner that's in charge.
Well, that's right. And that's because politicians are big partisans. I mean, that's been their whole life is climbing the ladder to get to this apex. I mean, there's nothing higher than the United States Senate other than vice president and president. And so that's the climate we have seen. And I think it's now just going to get a little worse because Lindsey Graham isn't involved.
We're speaking with Royal Oakes, co-host of the Too Many Lawyers podcast. Royal, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will apparently pause traffic stops for now. This is reported by Fox News. U.S. Senator Susan Collins, a Republican of Maine, says that she was the one who negotiated that change with ICE. Is this a win-win for Collins and ICE, or is this a sign that ICE is going to slow down immigration enforcement?
Well, I think it's helpful to Senator Collins, as you've reported. She's facing a tough problem getting reelected. She's been there for a few decades. A lot of Mainers, as they are called, are pretty liberal, and they're not fond of the fact that even though she's sort of talked like a moderate, like she's been seen as, along with Murkowski and a few other centrist moderate Republicans, they sometimes move against Trump. Nonetheless, a lot of people in Maine think that she's just basically a handmaiden for Donald Trump. So for her to be able to say, hey, look, I know about the shootings. We've had deaths in Minnesota. We've had deaths in Houston. Now we've had a death in Maine. I want ICE to stand down and have some limits on its traffic stops. So I think that's going to help her in that race. At the same time, I think Trump is trying to exploit the situation because, as you know, after the ICE folks came out a few days ago and suggested, well, we're going to be a little calmer about the traffic stops. The next day, Trump said, no, this is a wonderful tool for us to go after the bad guys. The weird thing, John, is that, when people think about traffic stops, whether you're ICE or not, you can't stop somebody just because you're an ICE guy who looks at the driver and says, well, he looks like an illegal Mexican person to me. I'm going to stop him. That's an illegal stop. You have to have probable cause to think there's something wrong. Do they have some kind of contraband or drugs, or is their license plate obscured? Did they violate a traffic law? So the weird thing is, the ICE personnel, they're not involved generally in traffic enforcement like the sheriffs, the police, and the highway patrol are, but they are entitled to stop people if they have not a hunch based on race, but a rational reason to think there's something weird or illegal going on with this car. And then when they stop them, if they realize, oh, we have an undocumented alien here, then they're entitled to take steps to process them through the system. And Donald Trump's goal is to have a very intimidating, scary environment. They want thousands of arrests every day around the country to send a message. If you're here illegally, self-deport, we'll give you a nice check, or if you don't, we're coming after you.
And when you go back to that Maine Senate race for a moment, the Democratic candidate who won the primary, who is no longer the nominee, Graham Plattner, comes from the left wing of the Democratic Party. And you look at some of these people who are affiliated with the DSA, who are winning some of these Democratic primaries, and they don't want ICE to throw the brakes on certain tactics. They do not believe that ICE should exist. They do not believe that the border should exist. They believe fully in open borders.
Well, that's right. And that's the dilemma the Democrats face right now, is you and Randy have talked about a lot recently. I mean, with so many people saying things like abolish for the police and no more borders and no more prisons, this is music to the ears of people who are partial to the Democratic Socialists of America. And a lot of Democrats are panicking, saying, we had a really good chance. The out-of-power party generally does really well in the midterms in a president's second term. So we're going to clean up. But if the nation that isn't really sympathetic to Democratic Socialists of America sense that this is the drift of the Democrat Party, then it may not be such a happy day the first Tuesday in November for Democrats after all.
Royal Oakes, co-host of the Too Many Lawyers podcast. You can also read his column, Two Lawyers Walk Into a Bar. That's available at Substack. Royal, thanks so much for stopping by. A pleasure as always.
You bet. Thank you.
Well, now that former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter lost the race for governor, she has decided to turn the page on her career. Katie Porter fancies becoming the next Oprah Winfrey. And by that, I don't mean she's going to buy up what's left of Lahaina or jump Stedman's bones. I mean she's starting a book club.
Katie Porter has decided to pivot from politics. She's still going to work at UC Irvine, but she has changed her Instagram handle literally to Katie Porter Turns the Page, because KT Porter fancies herself a book talker. Here's a little of what she posted on Insta, thanks to our friends at the California Post.
Hi, it's Katie Porter with a non-political post. I'm done for now with...
For now.
What do you think the odds are she's going to run for AG in 4 years?
Politics.
I don't know. This book talk thing might take off and she might never look back at politics.
Campaigning. But one thing that's always been a constant from when I was a little kid to now is to love to read, and taking a lot of solace and heart and joy, pleasure in reading.
Well, we know what kind of shows you like to watch.
Why do you have to watch porn in the living room?
What kind of books do you like to read, Katie? Are we talking a little ACOTAR, a little Court of Thorns and Roses? Do you like fairies messing around with centaurs?
Imagine being part of this book club, and you're sitting there with a glass of Chardonnay in front of you, talking about the bridges over Madison County, getting barked at by her.
So I'm rebranding this account as Katie Porter Turns the Page. It's partly a reference to a new chapter in my life, to the change, but also to something...
Does she have the whiteboard framed in her office?
It looks like she does.
Oh, boy.
I do a lot, which is turn the page when I'm reading. I'm a fast reader, and so stay tuned for book recommendations, book ideas, and author content. Thanks so much.
So there you go. Katie Porter wants to be a book talker.
Now, has she released a list of books that are going to be part of this book club?
She has not. But again, if it's the books that are popular on the internet, usually it is books about fairies, books about centaurs, books about all kinds of mythical creatures getting it on. That is what really the Instagram and TikTok book space is all about. It's a genre called romantasy.
So you don't think she's going to include any books that were written by Bill O'Reilly about the founding of the country?
I don't think there would be much of an audience for that.
Hello, everybody! Aren't all his books titled Killing Fill in the Blank?
Listener Space Dreamer 9000, right? I love these usernames on YouTube. I bet she wore down her copy of 50 Shades of Grey down to the spine.
Now, with these book clubs, is there usually a theme to it? Like, okay, we're going to do romance novels, or we're going to do political books, or we're going to do thrillers or mysteries. Or do these book clubs just pick a random book and it changes week to week?
From what I have seen through my wife, who is into all this stuff, it's almost exclusively romantasy. And there are hundreds and hundreds of books by a whole bunch of authors, all depicting like the best fantasy porn you can imagine.
Okay, so when the ladies, I assume it's going to be mostly ladies, sit around their computers on Zoom and talk about these things, how filthy is the conversation?
The conversation will get pretty filthy. Let me just say, I have heard my wife, while she is getting ready for the day, turn the book from reading to audiobook. And the things that the usually British narrator has to read are too explicit for the radio.
Oh, dear. Well, I don't think she's going to go in that direction because that doesn't help her run for office in the future. That just puts her in some sort of really niche pornographic corner.
I'm telling you, that's, if you want to be on Bookstagram and you want to be on Book Talk, it's all romantasy all the time.
Maybe it's going to be historical novels. Or maybe she's going to go in the direction of Gavin Newsom. When Gavin first started the podcast, he included people who disagree with him politically. He had Charlie Kirk on, he had Steve Bannon on, he had Michael Savage on. So who knows? Maybe she's going to start with something that Sean Hannity wrote.
I don't think she's going down that road. That's not going to get her any kind of vibes on the gram or the talk.
Now, Randy, she's also been spending a lot of time talking about why she lost the race for governor.
Katie Porter did her first sit-down interview since losing the primary for governor. She come in 5th place or 6th place? I think she came in 5th place and Mayhem came in 6th place.
She ended up with something like 4%.
I think she got 5%. Mayhem got 4%. Oh, how the billionaires bet on the wrong horse on that one. But let's hear what Katie Porter had to say in her first sit-down with, shocker, Spectrum News.
That's Channel 1, right?
It's Channel 1 down here. I don't know where it is up and down the state of California because they have a whole bunch of stations now. In fact, one of their reporters is kind of doing what we're doing, where she went from local to statewide. So that way they could save on reporters. For more, here is Spectrum News.
How you been? I'm really doing great.
Are you?
My guess is there's a lot of broken glass at Casa de Porter.
It was a long race and an interesting one, and
We're starting with high pitch, Katie.
taken some time to spend with my family, to cleaned out my garage. I did all the kinds of stuff.
All right, Johnny, give me 3 items that were in Katie Porter's garage. Go.
Well, if it's the same dead staffer and they're dismembered in 3 parts, does that count as 1 or 3?
Get out of my shop. You just don't have time to do when you're campaigning. So I've been really running straight now since.
Did she get highlights?
I think so. Little
That's
makeover.
It's for the gram.
It's 20.
Maybe she's going to do makeup tutorials.
Well, she's got to get this book club going.
16.
Right.
So really since Trump was elected the first time. So after 10 years, that garage needed a good clean, and been getting some sun and enjoying myself.
Yeah, literally and figuratively, probably a bit of a.
Again, that's what the book talk's all about, enjoying herself.
How much oil do you think that minivan leaks?
Well, it's a 2010 Sienna. Probably a lot. We do have a comment here from listener Chai Gal. Did she clean out the minivan?
Well, you can't do that the same day that you clean out the garage. There's only 24 hours.
Now, I do have to be careful here because there are a lot of comments coming in about Katie Porter, but I can only put so many on the screen. We do have a certain line that we're trying not to cross here. But Bridget writes in, hey, Randy, all of Katie's books are going to be about carrots and potatoes.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
What, is she a farmer?
She was raised by one.
Cleaning out,
Yeah,
period.
absolutely.
When you look in, I mean, I guess let's think about the governor's race, right? So last time you and I spoke was at this National Union of Healthcare Workers forum. You wound up getting the endorsement, by the way. This is a forum where it did feel on that stage, I have to say, and I can say this now, I was asking questions and moderating, but you felt like the strongest candidate of the bunch, and the polls were backing
So he thinks Javier Becerra is stupid too?
Well, his eyes are open, aren't they?
Scrub it. This up. And then things happened. What do you think happened? What happened with your candidacy and campaign?
Oh, I mean, I think there were a number of factors in this race. Some of them were about me, but some of them were about other candidates. At the time that we had that forum, I don't believe Tom Steyer and Eric Swalwell were even in the race, I don't think.
It was a much more boring race back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, Swalwell kind of spiced things up.
So we had people come in, we had people exit, the turmoil caused by Eric Swalwell and the accusations against him. So I think you always have to realize that.
That's an interesting thought point. Well, the reason I started sinking in the polls was because Eric Swalwell was revealed to be a rapist. What? Okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes it works that way. That guy in Pennsylvania shot Trump but killed Biden.
Race. Some of it is about you and about your decisions, and you have to own those. But some of it is also about the zeitgeist of the moment. It's about what else is going on in the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. And we
Okay, let's pause here for a second because, yes, Eric Swalwell, who was once the frontrunner in the race, dropping out after he was accused of sexual assault, certainly was an earthquake in this race. But let's not forget, the only reason that she was polling as well as she was because everyone expected that Kamala Harris would get in, and then she decided not to run at the last minute. And then everyone expected Alex Padilla to jump in, and then he decided not to run. So there was a moment in time where she was polling well, but that's because the big dogs caused all of the other potentially viable candidates, like Bob Bonta, to stay on the sidelines, and then ultimately decided not to get in. But the moment a viable Democrat without all the baggage that she has got in the race, it was going to be over for her.
The chat has started to fill up with people guessing what was in Katie Porter's garage. We're limiting it to 3 things that you think was in Katie Porter's garage. Listener Mark writes in, sex toys, knives, and potatoes.
Oh, my. That's quite a hat trick.
Jeff writes in, full of empty wine bottles and empty Amazon boxes. If you have some ideas about what was in Katie Porter's garage that she cleaned out this summer, you can write in the chat, and some of them will actually get posted on the screen. We're at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. It's Friday. Play along with us.
About what this election really was about, this primary is really about. We talk about some of the actions that you have to take ownership over. Do you feel that there are any that you feel that you have resolved in some way or take ownership over?
Well, I definitely wish that I could have satisfied Californians' concerns.
She wants to satisfy Californians?
Well.
Oh, boy.
Stay away from that one, Randy.
Why do you have to watch porn in the living room?
I'm feeling satisfied right now.
Gonna smoke a cigarette?
More quickly about what is referred to again and again as temperament, which, I think is a term that you most often use for sort of breeding livestock, not, and maybe female.
Did she just compare herself to that?
Well, this is what she does. She claims that all of these stories about her being temperamental and abusive are sexist, when the reality is that people realized that she was of low character because of how she treats those below her. And it wasn't just one instance. It wasn't just with that one particular staffer. That's how she treated Julie Watts, a reporter for CBS Sacramento, who was asking questions that she didn't like. We heard a story from Chad Bianco at that debate that you and I attended in Claremont, where she was dismissive and abusive to one of the students who was there, who was helping out. It's not like it was a one-time thing. This is just who she is. And the voters in California just decided they didn't like her.
Listener Jay writes in, from a distance, Katie Porter's necklace might be her ex-husband's teeth.
Oh, my.
Johnny, we're just getting started with this interview from former gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter as she reflects on why she lost the big governor's race.
It's the John Phillips Show. Right now, we're going through the sound of former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter explaining why she lost the governor's race.
Katie Porter sat down with Spectrum News to talk about what happened. Here is that interview.
Candidates, not necessarily for people, but I have a lot of experience running programs, the statewide foreclosure prevention program, being in Congress. I won a management award while I was in Congress, and I think.
Who did you compete against? Well, I guess the management award you're given to in Congress if you're not assaulting your staffers.
Some of that got lost. Sure. But I think California wanted an idea of a very experienced, steady hand, decades, the same policies. And I think what's in.
Steady hand, is that how we're describing Becerra?
Scrub it.
He was the one that did no preparation before the meetings when he was part of the Biden administration.
And no preparation before the debates.
Interesting about this race is how do you reconcile Javier Becerra's victory, which I congratulate him on very, very much. How do you congratulate?
I can see it in her face. She does not congratulate that at all.
She is so passive-aggressive about this.
I can see it in the eyes. I can see it in the mouth. She is not happy about this, and none of them are. All of them, there were so many people running. A lot of them expected, okay, it probably won't be me. But to go through an entire career in government, to some of these people spent a year plus campaigning, and to realize that this dumbass is the front runner.
Scrub it.
Is gotta really hurt.
Oh, yeah. Losing this race is going to eat at her and eat at her and eat at her until it kills someone who works for her.
The only person more bitter about this race is Chad Bianco.
Who still hasn't endorsed Steve Hilton.
Yeah, we got to ask Hilton about that.
How do you harmonize Javier's victory, which is like steady hand, experienced, not exciting? He says this about himself, with kind of what we're seeing in other parts around the country, which is let's really shake things up. Yeah. The Democratic establishment needs to change.
Yeah, and there's so much talk about where the Democratic Party goes from here, but you did bring up something about this word temperament, which feels loaded and feels gendered in some ways, at least with the way that we often hear it.
Okay, that is so stupid. This may be before your time, Randy, but there was a guy, and for those of you in the Bay Area, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Those of you who are interested in local politics. There was a guy whose dad was the mayor of San Francisco a million years ago, a guy by the name of Jack Shelley. And the son, Kevin Shelley, became an assemblyman, and then he moved up through the ranks. He became, I think it was Secretary of State. And many people thought that he would be governor at some point. This was back during the Gray Davis days. And there was story after story after story about him being abusive to his staff. I think at one point he threw a telephone at one of them. He was known for using really aggressive, salty language. And he just got hit with negative story after negative story. And it got to the point where everyone understood that this guy was an abusive a-hole. And after that became understood, his brand became toxic. And a guy who worked his way up to a statewide constitutional office and the sky was the limit ended up becoming an unelectable pariah. And it wasn't because of his gender. It had nothing to do with his biological sex. It had everything to do with how he treated other people. If you are an abusive person and you don't treat people well and you aren't nice, at a certain point, people pick up on that. And once people pick up on that, they determine that you're not a good person. And what happened to Katie Porter was that she kept showing us who she was over and over and over again, and the voters just decided that she was not a nice woman.
Get out of my shop.
What would make people think that?
Use it. Do you feel there was a double standard about attitude and the way you were showing up predispositionally?
I mean, voters have legitimate rights to ask questions and to have concerns. I do think that I was asked about that probably more.
Do you think this is the kind of Katie that we're going to get in Bookstagram, or is she going to be the rip-roaring, pissed off, talking like a sailor Katie?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Well, I think it's going to be determined by whether or not she's had half a box of wine or a full box of wine.
Than any other candidate. All the candidates put together were asked about their concerns.
In other words, if there was some kind of like leaked footage of somebody, which happened with you speaking to a staffer in a way that your tone was raised and people thought was unnecessarily confrontational.
That's a very, 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 very nice way to whitewash this.
Get out of my shop.
Yeah, she cursed some young girl out.
Do you feel like if it was a male candidate, it wouldn't have received as much
I can't say because I've never been a male candidate, so I can't put myself there. I will just say that we have seen other candidates have other female candidates have concerns about temperament, and so
I don't think anyone was asking Betty Yee about her temperament.
No, when there are concerns, it's because they did something outrageous. Amy Klobuchar is a perfect example. There are a number of stories about her being abusive to people who work for her. So therefore, she has that reputation. But the reason that she has that reputation are the stories, not the gender.
look, it's on me to satisfy Californians.
I'm not using that as a drop. Not going to do it.
We'd get to 2,500 subscribers today.
Why do you have to watch porn in the living room?
Couldn't find a pathway to do it.
Yeah.
But
she just couldn't satisfy us.
Stop.
I think it dominated the race in a way that took away from the policy discussion. So you know, you said at the start here that the race was about affordability, but I'm not so sure it was about affordability.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
I think it ended up becoming about Tom Steyer's money.
Well, it became Javier Becerra's the last man standing. The Democratic Party did not want Katie Porter, and they did not want Tom Steyer. That was true at the beginning of the race. That was true at the end of the race. They wanted Kamala, and when they couldn't get Kamala, they wanted our U.S. Senator, Alex Padilla, and then when he passed, I think they wanted Bonta to get in the race, and then he didn't do it, and then they settled on Swalwell, and then we found out who he was, and then Becerra was last man standing. This was the 2020 Democratic primary for president all over again. Joe Biden didn't win that. Everyone else just managed to lose.
Tom Steyer was in that too.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I'm about to ride the D.
It's the number one issue that Californians say they care about, but I'm not
By the
sure
way,
when they.
That Tom Steyer drop that you just played?
Yes.
Doesn't it sound like it could be Tom Steyer if he joined the cast of Jackass?
A little bit.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I'm about to ride the D.
Down, 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 down. It does. All right, someone who's better than me at AI, take that video of Tom Steyer and make him look like Johnny Knoxville getting into a porta potty.
Voted. They really decided based on who has the policies to bring down my cost of living. I'm not sure that's how they made their decisions.
Well, affordability was a big part of the debates, perhaps not how people voted. But that brings up a big question. How do we make California more affordable? And you're going to be asked this question as someone who understands the state. What's your answer?
Yeah. Well, so this is actually the rare situation where we actually can say Congress did something. And we can't say that very often in California. Our legislature is so active. They're always passing bills. They're doing things. Last week, Congress passed a couple weeks ago, and it became law, a big housing bill. And that is really, really helpful to California. We've been trying to think about housing affordability, but without that federal partnership, it's going to be hard to do. So I think that's a big, important change.
It's interesting to think about housing. Obviously, many candidates have said that if the housing is an issue in making life unaffordable in California, this supply side, YIMBY, let's make stuff, let's make houses.
I mean, Becerra was the candidate that said, well, we're just going to build more. We're just going to do it.
And then once you build those houses, to make sure they're attractive looking, you have to scrub them.
Scrub it.
Some folks, even liberals and progressives, have said, well, that's like, there's a corporate trickle down in that. And really so much of California and these urban areas, renters, we see this with the DSA movement. They're pro-rent.
This is a very DSA channel, so there's going to be DSA vibes in this interview.
Oh, all of the framing is for a DSA audience.
And mobilizing around that front. Why isn't there more of a conversation around rent and immediate relief on that front on a California level?
Yeah, so look.
Oh, and the DSA hates her, by the way, because she said she doesn't believe in rent control.
Uh-oh.
Way to bring down housing costs is to make it cheaper to build.
Yeah, okay.
Period. So yes, if you have more supply, at least in economic theory, if you had more housing, that would drive down price. But that's—
I will say, it is a theory, because San Diego has built and built and built and built and built and approved everything and said yes to everything, and it's still $4,000 for a one-bedroom.
And by the way, all of this is rich coming from her, given the fact that she lives in faculty housing at the University of California at Irvine. And she spent how many years living in that house not teaching a full schedule?
Well, there were the 6 years she was in Congress.
Like, please.
There was the year she ran for senator.
Like, please.
And there was the year she ran for governor.
Like, please.
She's like Cato Kalin.
A marginal effect. And it would take a long, long time for California to be able to really have an oversupply of housing such that you saw prices come down. What would make prices come down?
I think that LA County lost 50,000 people in population and prices still went up.
Yeah, explain that one.
Really much more quickly is if we built faster.
Right.
So if we built housing here 2 years faster, like Colorado, for example, our housing would cost about 20%. And that would, by the way, would affect not just single family homes, that would also be true for rent.
You're sort of consumer advocate.
By the way, that kind of idea is why the building trades unions wouldn't invest in her. They want the project to take as long as possible because then they get more money.
All right, we'll have more from Katie Porter coming up in moments right here on The John Phillips Show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. We're at 112 likes, and we'd like to get that number up into the stratosphere.
Listener One Mad Hatter on YouTube writes in, Katie's got a new nickname, Kato Kaylee.
I saw that someone in the chat's calling her Special K.
Special K? That's not very nice.
Steve Hilton joins us at the top of the hour. Right now, we're going through the sound of Katie Porter sitting down with Spectrum News.
Progressivism, Elizabeth Warren, obviously, a mentor, someone who has been a forefront of this, but it felt like a new wave in 2018 when you were a part of it. Now there's another wave, and as I mentioned, it's the Democrat Socialists of America, who look at it more in terms of structural reform. Let's not regulate the market. The market is a problem. Let's just change
Let's burn it all down.
That's what they believe.
Entirely. How do you square your take on the economy with what we're seeing come out of, say, New York with Mondani, but even in LA politics?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's remember that Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign was big structural change.
Sure.
So I think she was focused on the big building blocks of the economy. I think we have challenges.
And then she dropped out to endorse the antithesis of structural change, Biden.
Around corporate consolidation and antitrust.
At least she ripped Bloomberg a new one. That was a fun debate.
I think we have challenges around the ability for smaller businesses to compete, the amount of how long people are being asked to work. What do we do with minimum wage? So we're raising wages to help people who are working full time be able to live, but now we're seeing very high youth unemployment. And so
that's actually a direct result of the fast food minimum wage. They don't want to hire teenagers anymore.
It is. You make it more expensive to hire people, they get replaced by robots. It's easy to understand.
I think you have to recognize that a thriving economy helps everybody. If you have a
Hey, that rhymed.
Maybe she'll be the next mayor of L.A.
thriving economy, then you have more tax resources to be able to do some of that redistribution that I think is important to the DSA movement.
And am I hearing you say that the DSA isn't exactly speaking about economic opportunity, they're speaking more about structural reform and also redistribution?
I think they're pointing to problems. I'm not sure that they've yet unlocked kind of a solution. I think there is an anger, there is a frustration, and there is a skepticism with whether the Democratic Party really is going to be on the side of working Americans. As you know, I didn't take corporate contributions during...
Boy, we're still on that.
Boy, she loves beating that dead horse, doesn't she?
She's going to open up her book talk before she gets into her review of ACOTAR 2. It's going to be, I never took corporate PAC money.
My governor's race, I was the only candidate who didn't take corporate contributions.
But Uber did contribute to this independent expenditure.
To the
that
I can't control anybody.
And you don't.
That's not my campaign.
Yeah.
So
it got people upset, though. I mean, what do you
but I think
is that a double standard ultimately for someone?
It's so interesting to see her poked at from the left, because typically she gets poked at from the right in forums like this, but you don't see people on the left taking shots at her. The fact that he's going there is kind of interesting. I wonder if he's trying to get her to lose her cool.
It's definitely possible. What you have to remember when you look at that race, that governor's race, who did the DSA get behind? They got behind Tom Steyer.
We're at a big-ass crisis.
He became the DSA candidate.
Oh, he likes public transit.
Is people's kind of franticness toward the end of this race, grasping onto bits and pieces of information. And I think that people were, the back and forth between Tom Steyer and Javier, it became a very small, in some ways, a very small ball race, rather than focusing on really big ideas. So I propose to, eliminate income tax for people earning less than $100,000.
Wait, that was the idea you openly admit you ripped off of Hilton, which Hilton, by the way, because of inflation, now upped it to $150.
Geez, that is a big policy proposal. And yet people were focusing on these very sort of battles being fought on Instagram or Threads.
Absolutely. It's a tough spot for some.
Nobody was fighting any battles on Threads.
What is she talking about there?
I don't think she knows anymore. I'm thinking she is talking about how the last month or so of the campaign was just Tom Steyer going all in on attack ads on Becerra and Becerra going all in on attack ads on Tom Steyer, and Katie Porter and Matt Mahan were just left out of the conversation.
Someone in your position to be, because you're obviously saying these are the issues with the economy and the corporations, and then how do you fund a campaign? Because it is expensive. You're running against a billionaire. It's a question for another day. Our final moment, obviously, you think a lot about policy. I've read some interviews where you've been saying, I want to be more involved with policy making. What is next for you? Where do you see it going?
So today I rebranded one of my Instagram pages as Katie Porter Turns the Page.
It's a play on words, you see?
Okay.
And it's a Bookstagram count. So I read so many books on those flights back and forth to D.C. And so I'm excited about that.
A bibliophile.
I'm looking forward to going back to the law school, where not only do I teach...
Well, you got to keep that housing.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to get evicted.
My consumer protection courses, I now teach legislation and statutory interpretation, but housing policy and the experience and the fears about losing your home and being able to afford your home, that goes back to my childhood when my family nearly lost its farm to foreclosure. So I just think housing policy is going to be an area where I return to again and again, along
I wonder what they did to almost lose their farm. Were they making lettuce for Taco Bell?
Don't eat at Taco Bell this weekend, kids. And if you do, order no lettuce.
Protecting our public lands. That is really important to me.
Like what you see?
No, we don't. Wait, is that Lisa Ling?
Yeah, the woman from The View.
She's on Spectrum now, huh?
I guess.
So there you go. There was Katie Porter's interview with Spectrum News 1. The headline that you need to know is that Katie Porter is going to be a book talker. Katie Porter is going to start reviewing books on her Instagram page, and you can follow her at Katie Porter Turns the Page.
And she lost the election because all you Neanderthals out there are a bunch of sexists.
Including you, Tom Steyer.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I'm about to ride the D.
Okay, what do you think would have happened if a male candidate had been accused of assaulting his wife by dumping a bucket of boiling hot potatoes right on her head.
Well, I got to imagine that would be disqualifying.
I would think so. In fact, I think it would be worse because when we found out that she did it, it was just kind of funny. But if a guy were to have done that to a woman, I think we would look at them as being a violent person, wouldn't we?
Some would. Some definitely would.
I think so.
Listener Jim writes in, Katie looks great. What bars does she hang at?
A 100-year-old pipe just burst in West Hollywood. You know what they called that pipe, Randy?
What do they call that?
The AC Green. And now West Hollywood is the lost city of Atlantis, and we're all waiting for Barbara Ferrer to tell people it's okay to drink the water.
Don't you even get near this thing, Ferrer.
Wash your hands often and always before eating and after toileting.
This has been a massive disaster on Sunset Boulevard. Businesses have been destroyed. Cars have been flooded. Let's find out what happened here with LA's incredibly aging infrastructure. Here is Fox 11 and our buddy Matthew Seedorf.
Massive water main break in West Hollywood causing major flooding. This morning, streets and homes were overtaken by water and a massive sinkhole is forming. The rupture happened along a 110-year-old water line on the Sunset Strip, and we have team coverage tonight. Fox 11's Nick Garcia is standing by with more on the aging infrastructure. Skyfox Live overhead. But first, let's head down to the ground where Matthew
Wait, what time is it? Why is Nick Garcia, it's light, and Matthew Seedorf, it's dark?
I don't know.
Might have been an earlier report from Nick Garcia. That's what I'm going to guess.
Seedorf, he's got the very latest on cleanup efforts. Matthew.
Well, Laura, right now crews are still digging to access that pipe to determine what exactly went wrong.
And you know what's funny here? Matthew Seedorf, on Monday, we reported from him covering another water main break. That one was in Boyle Heights.
Boy, those people just can't catch a break.
And right now we're getting a look at new surveillance video close to when this whole thing started. A raging river from a water main break tearing through the center of West Hollywood for hours, damaging almost everything in its path. New surveillance video obtained exclusively by Fox 11 captures the moment a wall of water surged down Holloway Drive.
It looks exactly like when you're on the Universal Studios tram and you're in the middle of the earthquake part of the ride, and then the water just starts coming rushing.
You know, when I was a kid, we went on that tram ride with our neighbors who were immigrants from Vietnam. And she lived in a village where that actually happened. And she was on the tram with us when the flooding began. And you should have seen the panic attack that this woman had.
Oh, no.
Pooling into Dialogue Coffee.
Watching that video, I try to, keep Dialogue on the right path, and this just isn't one of those things that you're thinking about that can happen.
The co-owner showing us inside some of the destruction.
Oh, boy. Now there's some water damage for you.
Good luck getting your insurance company to pay out that claim.
Basically took the entire area here all the way in the back.
A massive, muddy mess that could cost...
Massive, muddy mess. Seedorf, that is great alliteration.
Tens of thousands of dollars. But have you started the process of looking at insurance or an attorney?
We're right now we're trying to get, biggest thing is making sure our staff is taken care of, get everything is cleaned up, and see what kind of damage we have.
The water in this garage reaching 4 or 5 feet in lower spots, forcing trunks to pop open, even airbags to deploy.
Holy cow!
Oh, God. It looks like Hurricane Katrina just hit.
And this is something that happens on a weekly basis in Southern California, in Los Angeles, where we do not replace our aging infrastructure. We have decided it's cheaper to wait for it to explode, which I don't think is actually true.
The mud, the debris, everything came in these structures and destroyed what was in here. Crews working all day to pump water out of flooded garages. while firefighters check buildings and cars, making sure no one is trapped. Fortunately, no serious injuries reported.
Aging infrastructure is a challenge, I know.
Where's the glasses, Horvath?
Oh, yeah. I think she believes the glasses make her look smart.
I served on the city council and as mayor here, and when I was on the council, we were talking about the aging infrastructure.
Here's something that I did not know about West Hollywood until just today. West Hollywood does not actually have its own municipal water system. Half of it is Beverly Hills, and half of it is LADWP. Guess which half breaks all the time?
My guess would be anything associated with the city of Los Angeles.
And what we needed our partners regionally to do to make those kinds of investments.
At the center of the mess, a 36-inch steel water transmission main that ruptured, causing extensive damage to the community and a giant sinkhole. Officials.
What a disaster. Every day it's something new here.
Digging it up to determine what caused the break, although the pipe.
What caused the break was that it was 110 years old.
We don't replace anything here, do we?
We do not. We don't even replace our bad politicians.
Was 110 years old.
Any idea on how many of the DWP mains or pipes are about 100 years old like this?
I don't have a number or accurate number to say.
Of course not. Why would you know that? You're just with the LADWP.
I love how he acts like he was just asked to count the number of jelly beans in the jar.
But with our extensive mainline replacement program, we're going through that. We replace approximately 240,000 feet a year.
There's like 70,000 miles worth of these things. That's nothing.
Blocks of businesses shut down, left cleaning up. The flood might be over, but the recovery is just beginning.
And because this was on Sunset, where it is a very inclined street in that part of town, it all got poured to one place.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're talking about possibly doing a GoFundMe right now and probably going to be doing that next.
Here's a live look from Skyfox. You can see the LADWP crews around that sinkhole still trying to access the pipe. It looks like right now they're still trying to suck the water out of the hole so that they can get to that pipe, get it determined to figure out what exactly went wrong, and then hopefully get a replacement.
They don't need to do that much investigating here. It is a 110-year-old pipe. These things only have a shelf life of 70 to 80 years, but we're deciding to just see what happens.
There's some good news to report tonight that officials say there's no water issues in this area. Everyone has running water tonight, although some might have low water pressure. We're live tonight in West.
Not a good night to wash your hair.
Well, there's no shortage of water. It's just not where you want it.
Hollywood, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Matthew, if you didn't know better, you would think that it's a natural disaster, but this is a man-made one. Just tell us what it was like to be on the ground versus what we're seeing from the air. What impressed you the most?
Yeah, I mean, like so many people, we woke up this morning and saw all that intense video, the cell phone footage of the water rushing down the hill. But I think getting out here and seeing it in person this evening, it's more widespread than you're picturing. The damage to all the parking garages out here, the low-lying areas, everything got covered in feet of water, and then sidewalks washed away. I mean, just think about the force that it was taking. And how
this is going to take a hell of a long time to clean up.
Yeah, no kidding. And that's right there on Sunset Boulevard. So stay away from that gaping hole if you're in West Hollywood.
Not going to touch that one.
long that was taking place.
All right, Matthew, thank you so much.
So there you go. The 110-year-old pipe that ruptured in West Hollywood, destroying an entire street, an entire community, destroying cars, destroying businesses.
And just as Matthew Seedorf said, Randy, this is not uncommon. The pipes, the infrastructure in Los Angeles are old.
Let's find out how old. Here is CBS LA.
SkyCal of the work being done to make repairs to the water system and the cleanup across West Hollywood.
CBS LA assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk now.
Mike, there's still so much work to do here.
There's still so much work to do. The impact to the community is so incredible here that it's not going to happen. Let's take you live up to SkyCal right now where this work is being done. One of the major problems here, as we've reported, is because it was on Sunset Boulevard, Sunset is essentially on a hill. So as soon as that water main broke, it sent water all the way down into the region. This is DWP crews that are still working on this, and they're going to be able to be doing this for quite some time. I'll have Brian in the chopper.
Fountain is going to become a literal fountain.
It is.
Pull out just a little bit so you can see kind of the grand scheme of things. I mean, they've not even gotten to the point where they've drained all of the water. This is a trunk line, as we have been telling you, and right now they are in the process.
Boy, if you live anywhere near this part of town, that is going to be a traffic nightmare for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Well, and it's not even just if you live in this specific area, because Waze and all the apps are now going to redirect everyone to the residential roads, and those are going to get clogged up. And they're known for being extremely narrow in West Hollywood to begin with.
Back draining about 6 miles worth of that trunk line. So the line itself is not even empty yet, and then they can start doing the work to repair it. So we are still quite a distance away. The Sunset Boulevard here is a major thoroughfare, obviously through West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and into the Hollywood area. These trunk lines that we're talking about, DWP has 547 miles of them. And yes, we are in the city of West Hollywood. That's where this is happening. But the city of West Hollywood themselves does not have a municipal water system. Half of the city is split between LA DWP, and the other half serviced by Beverly Hills. So
Can they change that so Beverly Hills takes care of all of it?
West Hollywood is a tiny, 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 tiny city in the middle of the West Side. They're reliant on LA for a lot of things.
That's why we see these LADWP crews doing this work. And as we have talked about so many times throughout the years, there is a big concern over why these pipes get so old before they get replaced and then ultimately burst. And for that,
because we like to waste our money on nonsense instead of the basics in Los Angeles.
Turn to our CBS LA reporter, Joy Benedict. She's live there in West Hollywood with more on this ongoing issue of these aging pipes. Joy.
How much money do you think we'd have for the pipes and the infrastructure if we didn't spend so much on those phony baloney homeless services NGOs?
Oh, we'd have like $1 billion a year to do this. You could say the same thing about the sidewalks and everything else that is aging and crumbling in this city.
Like we're live right now. We're on Larrabee and Sunset Boulevard, so we're sort of on the west side of that closure that you just mentioned, sort of west of the Sunset Strip. You can see they have a lot of activity out here, a lot of emergency crews as they're doing what they can to repair this pipe and hopefully eventually reopen this road. But as we have seen before, that can take some time. And honestly, after 15 years here, that's the first thing I said when I saw the video this morning was that, you know, I've seen this before.
It's almost like we don't learn ever.
Rushing water turned this West Hollywood road into a river.
Hell broke loose, apparently.
As Louis Anchanda watched water flood his garage and his car.
Oh, boy. Not a good time to have an underground parking garage.
Well, sir, I'm sorry about your car, but if you're looking for something to get you from point A to point B until you get that worked out, OJ recommends Hertz.
Luckily, we're all okay, but this is just pain in the...
Katushka.
Exactly.
But as fans blow and pumps crank out the water, we can't help but remember we've seen the water flow from Sunset Boulevard before. In 2014, a 30-inch pipe burst by UCLA. 20 million gallons of water.
Oh, I remember this one. I was working on the morning show back then.
Oh, that was biblical.
Rushed onto campus, flooding Pauley Pavilion, resulting in $13 million in damages.
How is it cheaper to let these things destroy the city than to just replace them all at once?
Because this shifts the cost to someone else.
In 2020, more water, this time from a pipe 99 years old, also 30 inches, again flooding UCLA.
And a year later, even more water further west, also on Sunset Boulevard from a 16-inch pipe, 82 years old.
And the problem is, I'm sure it's like the whole city is full of pipes like that. How do you know? How do you prevent? And it's just...
Well, you know how old they are because you know when they were installed. It's ignorance, and it's people not wanting to pay attention or figure, oh, this is somebody else's problem.
And it's also what happens when you vote for people for local office based on how much they hate Donald Trump. Okay, fine. If that's how you're going to evaluate candidates for water board and city council and county supervisor, then don't be surprised when they don't know anything about local government.
How many pipes could we have replaced for Janice Quinones' $750,000 salary?
Good question.
It's terrible.
And that is the problem.
The steel lines have a 50 to 70 year lifetime.
Steve Vianney is a civil engineer who does not work for LADWP. What makes a pipe burst to begin with?
Over time, they rust from the outside and corrode from the inside, and that reduces the thickness or the strength of the pipe.
The pipe that burst in West...
So if you heard what he said correctly, the pipes that were installed, some of them over 100 years ago, had a shelf life of 50 to 75 years before they needed to be replaced. And we've just been waiting for these things to burst. LA is a ticking time bomb of water.
Hollywood is a riveted steel pipe, which was first installed in 1916. That's 110 years ago. It is so old, they don't make them like that anymore.
And now we install
For a second, I thought she was going to do a "that pipe is so old" joke.
Steel pipe. We also install plastic pipe.
According to LADWP's water infrastructure plan for this year, 30% of the area's main lines are more than 80 years old, so they are working through a 150-year replacement plan.
Our pipes are older than the U.S. Senate.
The plan to this is, again, if you take anything home from this show today, the plan to replace all of the exploding pipes that are happening on a weekly basis in Los Angeles is a 150-year plan.
Well, West Hollywood, you may end up with the Little Mermaid as your neighbor.
It feels like we're not moving fast enough.
We are not moving fast enough. This should have been started a long, long time ago.
But LADWP's reach is vast, 7,300.
For what I pay on my bill, you should be able to replace these pipes a hell of a lot faster.
And 41 miles of trunk lines and water mains, making the replacement costly and time-consuming, which is why even those who saw damage have understanding.
I'm sure that LADWP will rectify it.
No, that's the wrong attitude.
Good luck with that, pal.
Glad that they're here.
So now back out here live, it's important to know that lines are prioritized in that plan based on things like break history and age. It is not clear where this particular pipe fell in that 150-year plan. But just so you know, they are working on a 5-year, $8 billion budget for repairing those pipes. They are on schedule as of right now. It's not clear if
on schedule for what? These things are breaking every week.
in the next 5 years, they'll donate more money, or I should say put in more money and repair more pipes a little faster. I'll send it back to you guys.
And just mentioned there is a ballot initiative, correct, in November. It'll be on the ballot in terms of money for infrastructure spending.
Yeah, but that money's not going to the pipes, Pat.
No, they sell it as money for the pipes, but it's not going to the pipes.
All that money in the big infrastructure bill that the Biden administration passed, did any of that money go to the pipes?
Very good question, Randy, and it appears that the answer is no. All right, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And Pokemon is making the blotter yet again.
It happened yet again. A big old fight over Pokemon. This time, Pokemon cards were actually found in a warehouse in Colton. For more on this, we go to a report from KTLA 5.
Police confirmed they've recovered thousands of dollars worth of stolen Pokemon cards.
The recovery comes 1 week after Colton police arrested a suspect in the June burglary of a collectible shop, and it wasn't the first time the shop had been broken into.
Well, that's not surprising.
These shops just get hit right and left.
Shelby Nelson live in
Turns out they have much more valuable products than their security would make you believe they have.
Colton. She's got details and reaction from the relieved shop owner. Shelby.
Hi, Sandy and Sherry. Yeah, we're talking about Into the Retroverse, the shop that you see right behind me in Colton. And in that surveillance video you're about to see, there are 2 suspects. Police here in Colton say they've arrested 1 person, but they are still investigating, and that is why they're still asking more people to come forward if they have information.
There was a lot of ETBs like Burning Shadows, Evolving Skies.
Collections of Pokemon cards. It's partly
Okay,
what
that
Javon
guy
Bernal
looks
has sold.
exactly like what you would expect the owner of a Pokemon card shop to look like.
Are you saying that he's a little bit of a stereotype?
Just a tad.
To help build his Colton business of 3 years, but his shop Into the Retroverse was just broken into again, and for the 4th time.
4?
What are you, a jewelry shop?
Come on.
Runs in with a black bag with whom I believe is his relative. They start grabbing stuff. One of them is grabbing a Pokemon product. The other's grabbing a bunch of Magic the Gathering.
Oh, wow, that's old school. People are still buying those cards?
Remember when that one robbery at a Pokemon shop also included a card of Geraldo Rivera?
I don't think it did. I think you're conflating something else.
I thought it did involve Geraldo.
No, I think we ended up talking about that for some reason. But I don't think it involved a shirtless photo of Geraldo. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought it did.
Popular trading card games worth a pretty penny nowadays, gone within minutes. Surveillance video from June 12th shows 2 suspects breaking in and loading up on $16,000 worth of Pokemon product alone.
$16,000 worth of cards, of pieces of paper with Japanese cartoons drawn on them.
That's a lot of Pokemon.
Javon says total with damages and other items stolen, he estimates $25,000.
They destroyed the frame, broke the lock, and then with no lock and the frame being destroyed, this, boom, you just open the door.
They used Rock Smash and it was super effective.
Old school technology.
Another frustrating theft for Javon. We talked to him after a prior incident from 2024 when his brother was held at gunpoint. But in this case,
boy, these guys are really dedicated to the craft.
Boy, working at one of these shops is like working at a 7-Eleven in the middle of the night in Oakland.
Something was different. The tight-knit community of shop owners of the Inland Empire coming together to help pin down a suspect.
When it comes to my stuff, I put it in the sleeve and then I'll put the price on the outside. Apparently, I'm the only person that does that. I didn't realize that made me stand out.
Javon says he received a few calls. Apparently, someone was trying to sell his product, and they recognized it. After some leads and Colton PD putting in their detective work, they arrested 35-year-old Anthony Ray Estevan of Rialto.
Our detectives obtained a search warrant. Once we got to the house, you could see in the video that they made an entry.
He brought his daughters in. He brought his son in.
The San Bernardino County District.
Wait, this guy robbed the store with his kids?
I guess it's a family affair.
Attorney filing charges, which includes 1 count of second-degree commercial burglary.
You want to throw away your life for Pokemon? If you're going to steal and break into another store and think, oh, I'm good, clearly it didn't work out for him.
That's because the story didn't happen in L.A. County.
Nope. It's San Bernardino County. He might actually go to jail.
Now, we're told Estevan is out on bail and has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
You're on tape, dude.
Maybe he's going to impregnate some more women so he can hit a bigger store 10 years from now.
That he is facing. And I'm also told that burglary charge could hold a maximum sentence of 3 years. In the meantime...
Well, let's see. Let's say that you stole $30,000 worth of cards. No, that's not worth it. You had to steal like $300,000 worth of cards. Maybe then the 3-year sentence would be worth it.
Joe Vaughn is
What
now
am I saying? None of it's worth it.
working to help fortify his business even more through the property owner. That is the very latest from Colton. I'm Shelby Nelson, KTLA 5 News.
All right, Shelby, thank you.
So there you go. $16,000 worth of Pokemon cards recovered after they busted a burglar.
Another necktie for dear old dad. All right, Randy, it's time to reopen the blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this one does have some similarities to if the cashier is dummy.
That's because people stole $34,000 of fuel.
If the cashier is dummy.
For more on this, we go to CBS Sacramento.
Fueling a felony. Thieves stole $34,000 worth of fuel from a Placer County gas station.
Wait, is this Dutch Flat? You know who's from Dutch Flat?
Who?
Gavin.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Suspects are from Vegas and Miami.
That's why his kid is named Dutch.
Is the idiot on the left wearing a Breathe Right strip?
It sure looks like it.
Thanks for staying with us at 10:30. I'm Marley Ginter. The sheriff's office says the two men started the operation in February. Ashley Williams is here with us now with how investigators believe they were able to even get that much fuel, Ashley.
Yeah,
My goodness.
Marley, $34,000 worth of fuel. That is wild. The Placer County Sheriff's Office says since February and as late as last Friday, the two men were taking from the same station in Dutch Flat. It was last Friday. Officials say a security guard actually alerted them to the theft, spotting it in their cameras at the gas station.
So wait, how were they doing this? Stealing it right out of the hole? Because that's what the cashier's dummy guys did.
Before deputies could even get there, the two men had made their way down the hill to Roseville, where they were arrested. The sheriff's office says while they think the two men are responsible for all the thefts, they are still investigating.
February and July, we know of at least 12 instances where gas was stolen from this same location. We identified a couple of vehicles that were consistently involved in these thefts.
What do you think the cashier was doing?
Probably scrolling on their phone.
If the cashier is dummy.
When deputies got up to the two men, they found large
Maybe they were reading Gavin Newsom's book about his childhood in Dutch Flat and thinking, well, maybe I could be that guy.
I don't think either one of those two do a lot of reading.
fuel containers in the beds of the trucks, both of them now facing theft charges. And the sheriff's office is giving credit to the gas station employees for being attentive and helping lead them to an arrest.
All right, so cashier is not dummy in Placer County.
The cashier's getting the credit for solving the crime.
No matter the circumstance, though, they say it's better to call and have officers check it out and it be nothing rather than turn into something, Marley, worse.
So there you go. Two thieves caught in Placer County stealing $35,000 worth of gasoline.
And the cashier is the hero.
And listener Mark writes in on YouTube, of course, in California, that's what, 20 gallons?